An accidental fall is going to be hard to defend, given the height of the windowsill. Mm-hmm. So that's why there's an investigation for more suspect, and you're more suspicious death. Yeah.
On our last Justice Night Extravaganza episode, we are in some ways going back to the beginning of the month. We covered Anatomy of a Murder, the 1959 Otto Preminger procedural trial film. Tonight we're talking about writer-director Justine Triet's Anatomy of a Fall, the 2023 French legal drama named for Anatomy of a Murder.
The title of the film refers to a pretty well-known courtroom movie too.
Of course, yes.
So that was something you were working with, and
yes, that movie is very important for me.
Talking about the Preminger film, of course, Anatomy of a Murder. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, from Preminger, of course. I saw that movie 10 years ago, I think, and I'm very impressed by that movie because, of course, it's so modern the way they are playing in the courtroom, and it was, of course, not a model, a pattern for us. Yes.
Triet wrote the screenplay with her partner Arthur Harari, inspired by Triet's fascination by the Amanda Knox case, where a young American woman living in Italy was accused of murdering her roommate. The murder trial seemed like a perfect vehicle to be able to dissect and study every aspect of a relationship, cohabitation, and the reciprocity between a husband and a wife.
I mean, sometimes a couple is kind of a chaos, and everybody is lost, no? And sometimes we fight together, and sometimes we fight alone, and sometimes we fight against each other. That happens.
Triet was interested in the changing roles between men and women. In Anatomy of a Fall, Sandra Hüller plays Sandra, who lives with her husband Samuel and her blind son Daniel, and his seeing eye dog Snoop. In Samuel's hometown, an isolated chalet close to Grenoble. Sandra is a successful writer, and her husband is a professor who hates teaching and wants to be a writer. They resent each other. Sandra doesn't speak much French and prefers everyone speak English rather than her native German, and her husband can't get it together to write.
You're not sacrificing yourself, as you say. You choose to sit on the sidelines because you're afraid. Because your pride makes your head explode before you can even come up with the little sham of an idea.
Daniel's blindness a few years earlier came from an accident when Samuel couldn't pick him up from school on time. After a tumultuous scene where Sandra has a cute young woman come to the house to interview her, and Samuel turns up the music louder and louder upstairs, Daniel finds Samuel dead in the snow by the house with blood around him. This sets up the murder trial as a vehicle to dissect the relationship and resentments and emotional turmoil, as Sandra must fight against charges that she murdered her husband. She hires an old friend from college, Vincent, played by Swann Arlaud, as her defense lawyer. It's a perfect setting to express that although we live in a changing time where women can be the main breadwinner and men can be the caretaker, in a murder trial, the prosecutor, played by Antoine Reinartz, races for the same sexist themes as a movie as old as Anatomy of a Murder when trying to come up with a scenario that would lead Sandra to murder her husband, imputing her bisexuality, her husband's feeling of impotence, dissecting events that led to Daniel's blindness.
Vous saviez que Sandra, comme vous l'appelez, était bisexuelle?
Non.
Et vous l'avez perçue sur le moment?
Non.
Et en réécoutant l'enregistrement, est-ce que vous diriez que, ou avec le recul, il y avait un jeu de séduction de sa part?
Well, Vincent has to paint certain pictures to make it look like suicide or an accident. Like Sandra says in this movie, if you take a little piece of reality, is it really who you are? There are multiple ways to view each detail brought up in the murder trial and multiple perspectives on which to base your conclusions.
If I'd been seeing a therapist, he could stand here too and say very ugly things about Samuel, but would those things be true?
Stories are a big part of this film. The stories Sandra sells to make a living, which borrow from her life to her detriment when she's on trial for murder. The stories her husband and her must tell each other to keep moving forward, and the stories that the lawyers must tell the jury to make the story make sense in court. Parts may be real, individual facts may be true, but is that the truth? We are complicated beings, and any of us put on trial and reduced to these one-dimensional characters would object because it isn't the whole truth.
Don't deny it.
Once, and you cling to it in order to
You have
suffer.
fucked other people
You do this
several
all the time.
times.
You make yourself the victim.
I'm not a victim. I'm a man who's been cheated on, plundered and cheated on.
Before I introduce the panel, please like this video and subscribe to the Movie Night Extravaganza YouTube channel. Then hit that bell to get notified whenever we're streaming. Super chats are now open. If you have any pressing questions, send us a super chat, which helps me maintain the expenses for the show, which I am obligated by the rules of the Geneva Convention to stop everything and ask the panel. Another way to help us out is to become a patron and give us money every month. In exchange, you get access to all of our after parties, bonus content, and we'll tell you even more movies we watched recently. Patreon.com/Movie Night Extra. We have a Movie Night Extravaganza Discord. There's an invite link in the episode description, and we have a Letterboxd HQ account. So those are 2 more places to follow along with us. Okay, let me introduce the illustrious panel. Conan Neutron is the host of Protonic Reversal, co-host of Movie Night Extravaganza, and the frontman for the band Conan Neutron and the Secret Friends. You can check out his music and hopefully buy some at neutronfriends.bandcamp.com. Conan's latest album, The Way of the Neutron, is available now on Bandcamp. Order it today. Kristina Oakes is a co-host of Movie Night Extravaganza and a Twitch streamer. You can find her streaming at twitch.tv/Cosmopolitics. All of her social media accounts are also at Cosmopolitics. She's on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky, and even occasionally on Letterboxd. Kev is the co-host of the Austin Danger Pod with Mackenzie Wilkes and is on Letterboxd at Kev. I, of course, am your host and your college lawyer friend who really wants to bang you after your husband dies mysteriously, Forrest Miller. Somebody said, of course, money doesn't make you happy, but it's still better to cry in a car than in a subway.
There it is, folks. There it is. All right.
So true, though. It's
Got it in.
It's literally so much better to cry in a car than a subway. I don't even take it, like, I don't even mind riding the subway, but if I'm gonna cry, right? Like,
If you're gonna cry, yeah.
Crying on the subway is a rite of passage, though.
It's
you haven't
true.
lived in
That
New
is
York
true.
until you've cried on the subway.
I'm just saying I'd rather, right? Like,
yeah, given the choice.
You know.
Right.
Of course.
Understood. Kev, welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I thought you might be getting mad that we had Mackenzie on a couple times for getting you on, but we figured it out. So there you go.
Oh no, never.
I like how this film, like, they described it as like a Hitchcockian like type of thriller.
It is kind of. I mean, I love. So first of all, yes, I agree with you. Secondly, I love that even the name of the movie is an homage to Anatomy of a Murder, of course, which started our month, which, as we all know, no surprise, I'm a huge fan of. But I like that it's not just an homage. And doing all of these movies in a row, like kind of going through like the history of like the legal movie, more or less, right? Yeah. Has actually been super cool because it made me appreciate this movie so much more and what it does to kind of bring in these different disparate elements of it, but still do something kind of new, which is impressive. And, you know, Juror number 2 was good, but it didn't bring anything new, really. I mean, the concept was great, but like it's
I mean, the fact that it's like the French legal system, right? Like it feels like
that's new.
It's a bit looser. It's a bit looser than the American judicial system. It seems like, right? Like a little like
you could say
really
fuck you.
It's really like vibes based. The judge doesn't cut in very much. The judge seems to be just kind of there to settle disputes. But like they did have the same interplay between the two lawyers where it's like, you know, like that the hapless Vincent guy, my cousin Vincent.
His name is Vincent. Yeah, exactly. Crazy.
I mean, but, no coincidence there.
But like he's constantly kind of ineffectually. Every man in her life seems to be highly ineffectual.
Oh,
Like,
she can pick them. I tell you.
Yeah. The most confident man in her life is her son, who's blind. Like, and he can play the piano like a crazy man. But like, it's just she has the most precocious blind son ever, and then every like adult male around her is just
the worst.
Yeah,
varying levels of the worst. Yeah.
But it just like he kind of ineffectually cuts in every few minutes. But like, and I like that they kept that interplay between like the extremely hostile, just greasy and like grubby prosecutor guy, right? Like,
that guy sucks, and like he's meant to suck, and he does a great job at sucking. Like he's a wonderful
the same
job.
way that Anatomy of a Murder, right? With the just like Claude Dancer character, that, like really fucking sucks. Like in both cases, they're these like kind of flamboyant characters that I think they do a good job with, but it feels like they brought something very new to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Kev, I know you were an early adopter for Anatomy of a Fall. What are your thoughts on that, and like how it sits in the pantheon of the Justice movies?
Yeah. So unfortunately, I haven't seen Anatomy of a Murder in like 10 years. It's been a long, long time, but great movie. Holds up, I'm sure. Anatomy of a Fall, I saw like right away when it came out here in New York. Very privileged to be here and to see all these movies that early. I got to see it with Justine Triet, which was awesome.
Yeah, was it a date?
Like, no,
kidding, jokes.
Very much not. Unfortunately. Or not, depending on this movie.
Yeah, depending
on how you see it. Yeah. But no, this was my favorite movie. You know, 2023 was an awesome year, but this was by far my favorite. It's the movie that sat with me the most. And the thing I like about it is, even though it trades on a lot of these things you guys have been talking about all month, the real trial is going on in your mind.
Yeah.
Whether she did it or not is not that relevant to the themes of the movie. It's all about you.
At all. Yeah. I would argue that it's literally, it's not relevant to, like, I don't know, like, because my trajectory watching this, right, it changed dramatically. The first time I was like, no, she did it and she got off, and it's like, you know, events kind of coalesced in a way that the one witness was her son that can't even see in the first place. Like, nobody else is really there. She's isolated. She has a very Jack Torrance kind of thing going on with her, like, you know, she's like isolated in the chateau and her chalet in the mountains, right? Like, she's going.
All that's missing is the Kubrick stare.
Yeah, I feel like at some point she probably even does it. Like, but like, so the way that she is, right? She seems like a very assertive person put into a situation where she has no control over anything. She doesn't, like, even the language thing, right? Like, she's grasping for control by speaking English rather than German or French, and so it feels like, all right, this is a woman who's losing it. But watching it the next few times, my trajectory of what I think happened totally changed. And I don't think it matters for the point of the movie. It's deconstructing her relationship. But like, I do think that it's one of those things that's open-ended to the point where it does happen completely in your mind.
Yeah. And the fact that this is based off of like Amanda Knox, who follows me on Blue Sky. We're friends. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Could have invited her on too.
What do you talk about? I mean, is there
we make jokes.
Okay, well, hey, sounds like she'd fit right in.
She loves making little like hints about how she got off on that case about the roommate or whatever, and I'm like,
yeah, I was reading about that. It's wild. She at first she like implicated her boss. She's like, me and my boss killed this one, like my roommate, and then she was like, actually, my boss did it, and then the boss was like, I literally have an alibi, and then they're like, it was some other guy, some random Italian man. I guess they just wander through the mountains and like slay.
Well, yeah, I don't really care about talking about that, but I do think it's interesting. I didn't realize that it was that's what it's based off of, because I mean, the homage is in the name for Anatomy of a Murder, so I was like, oh, and immediately I was like, oh, that better be good, you know, like I was
like the actual case that's
like stancing up. Sure, but I didn't know that, but it's interesting because I think y'all are right that on second viewing, like I was focused on totally different stuff. Yeah. And I really was focused on like the language too, and the usage of when English is being spoken, and you know, and when French is being spoken, which is crazy because we talked about when we did Oscar Night Extravaganza that year of like, what the hell was France even doing not submitting this when it clearly would have won for Best International?
Yeah.
And there's a couple reasons for that. Forrest, you had the whole Macron theory, which seems to be backed by some solid evidence that like you piss off the wrong people.
I wonder if this year they like, because Macron seems like his clout is on the wane, but he's also been way more petulant, and I wonder like how, like, I wonder if it would have been submitted as their international this year. But
if it was this year, sure.
Was it because of like they didn't want like people knowing about like how the French, court system works? Or
I don't think
like...
they care about that. I think they did. I think personally, the biggest answer might be it wasn't 100% in French. Because look, y'all know what the Césars are, right? Like they have like their version of the Oscars for all to celebrate the best in French cinema. They're really high on their own supply over there. Sorry, France, but you are. And I wonder if that might have something to do with it. Like in that same way that, remember, RRR not being, India's submission is because like it comes from the wrong part of India, and
or I had to say it, Emilia Perez, France, represented from France, not Mexico, France, because it was simply directed by a French dude. And I'm like, that's not a good, that doesn't make sense to me.
Anatomy of a Fall, French compliment. Emilia Perez, French insult.
So,
exactly.
All right. So like remembering this now and like looking at the news article at the time, right? It wasn't just that she attacked Macron and his policies. It was that it was during Cannes and she was doing the Palme d'Or. So
won a Palme d'Or. Yeah, right.
Yeah, prestigious, very prestigious. If you win that, you're this good.
Well, her speech ripped into Macron for her Palme d'Or speech, where she was just like I don't know, like smashing him down pretty much for the pension reform stuff. And so that was like, so she accepted the award and she's like, oh, it's great to be here. Also, fuck Macron. Like, what I mean? They literally had everybody in his cabinet at the time, like talking shit about her publicly. And like, so it was like a huge controversy. It wasn't just like,
it was a big deal. Yeah. but it's just such a well-made movie. And I think that you guys are hitting on something that like, it's something that there's movies that reward multiple watches because you get more details, but like to get like kind of like a Rashomon effect of a movie you've already seen is fascinating. That you can just, your focus is on different things, and it was almost a completely different experience this time, and I makes me wonder. I almost didn't give it enough credit the first time because it is like so immersive. There's so much going on. There's so much going on. Easy. That's easy, but I still laughed. I'm an easy laugh. What can I say? There's so much, because it's at the heart of it. It's like it's a relationship story as well as a judicial procedural, right? And that's interesting. By the way, I guess this is where I'm going to drop this. When I first saw this, I literally thought dude was a musician, just like listening back to mixes upstairs. Yeah, because I do that all the time at varying volumes. I'm like, oh, he's doing a mix.
You said you didn't really know.
I don't know that song. Yeah,
I do know that song, but I thought because it was an instrumental version, my assumption, and I didn't think about this until you just said it, but when I first heard I thought he was going to be like a French DJ.
Yeah, he's like cooking up some calypso jams up there. Great,
I thought he was doing a PIMP like remix, and I was like, I don't know what he did differently than the actual song.
And that's so funny and such a me thing, I guess, to think. But
go ahead, shout out to his family.
Oh my god.
Because I was just like, oh, like, no, he's just being a dick. And then I got it with the context as it went, but I was like really confused about that because I just didn't know the song. But was it you that was saying that it was originally going to be Jolene?
Yeah. The
Dolly Parton song?
Yeah,
yes.
I can pull up the clip in a minute of her talking about it.
That's insane.
She has a whole thing about it. So I'll play that in a second. But I wanted to say on the point you were making, right? The point that both of you guys are making. I think what inspired her about the Amanda Knox thing was, and what works here is that when you go to a murder trial, right? They pull up all your relationships. Like, oh, this is the person's roommate. They have this problem. They had an argument on this day, and it's all facts that try to back up a narrative, which is what this is really about. So it's like, you might be having a lot of trouble with your husband or something and like have a huge fight, or like your friend or whatever it is. And then that's used if the person dies, right? Like that's used as evidence against you when it's not the whole truth. And they're not actually delving into like a, I guess like holistic and full appreciation of your life and your relationships. It's just like, oh, you fought on this day, and that circumstantially backs up my charge that you murdered this person. And it's like, so it's like this extremely superficial and limited version of who somebody is that gets brought out during this, but so much gets brought out during this, right? Like a process like this. And I think that's what fascinated her about the Amanda Knox thing.
And also this French system, which I fully confess, I was like, wow, is This is rowdy. This is how they run these courts. That's wild to me. Like I mean, I don't know. Was I the only one that was like, is this?
Yeah, no, for sure.
I had to look it up. I was like, is this science fiction or is this actually like this?
Crazy.
It was very, and including like, I like that they just have a splatter expert on both sides to just like, because there's like some blood on the ground. Like, all right, this is what the blood backs up the theory of the prosecution. This is a murder because the blood is here. And then they're like, no, this is a suicide because the blood is here. And it's like,
well, yeah, they got people who do that. It's like when people.
There's a lot more vibes and also like vector rendering based than
But it's like or like, oh, someone was kidnapped or what, or something like it's an episode Scooby Doo about like Scooby Doo, are you with the mummy? And they're like, oh, they got like the mummy's broken through the glass, but Velma was like, how come the glass is on the outside, not inside, and whatever. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, well, those are that's like forensics. I mean, there's a lot of
blood.
Then they get a blood spatter expert and it's Dexter, and they're like, "Whoa, this is a crossover suddenly."
Yeah,
I know a lot about splatter because, but no, like I like the now I'm imagining a version of Scooby Doo where they pull off the mask and it's Snoop.
That was a good boy.
I see my vision of this changed so much because I went from the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, she's going crazy and she got away with murder. And then I was like rewatching it and I was like, all right, like there's enough evidence that he committed suicide, like, but then I read the Reddit theory and now I totally believe this after watching
famous last words, by the way. I read the Reddit theory.
But, in the beginning, right, some of the first sounds you hear Snoop running, you hear a ball bouncing against the upstairs wall, you see a ball flying, the window's open, and Can
I say it? Chekhov's ball. Thank you.
But the whole movie, there's no murder weapon, and it doesn't really make sense for him to jump out of like a third story. Like I feel like if he didn't smash his head against the shed, he would have just lived with like a broken leg or something. It's not that high. I mean, so like the theory is that he was playing like fetch with Snoop, and then he threw the ball bounced back, he threw the ball lands behind him. He gets upset when, he gets more and more upset, turning the music up and up and up. And then he confronts his wife and there's this whole back and forth. And then, so the theory is that he slips on the ball comically like, whoa, and then flies out the window backwards, which would make sense for where he lands, hits his head, bounces off the shed and then lands or whatever. And I think that makes a lot more sense to me now than oh, she just murdered him in cold blood, because she's like very kind of shocked about the whole thing. And it just doesn't read fully to me. Like, I don't know, like you could read it as like she's being disingenuous the whole time, telling her son like, oh, don't say anything that's that's a lie, like tell the truth. But you could read it as she's being very genuous, I guess. No diss.
She's just being genuous. Yeah, I guess that would be the antonym of that, isn't it?
but like, and she's being very straight up, and she's someone who's been through all this stuff and she's trying to manage, and like it reads to me a lot more like if you take her at face value the whole time. And it's just like, no, because the guy had the whole time they're fighting, right? They're going back and forth, and she's like, oh, you can't even make a decision to start writing. You can't decide on an idea. Yeah. So it's like, I don't think he decided to kill himself. He can't decide anything. He seems like he's completely incapable of decision in general. So it would be very like, it feels very, I don't know, like existential in a way almost, that like a guy that has no ability to make any decision and is constantly just angry and like taking it out on everyone, and is kind of just this loaf around guy that, and of course the whole family's traumatized from the son's blindness, like, but like this whole thing happens, and then he gets angrier and angrier, and this kind of slips on a ball, and it's like, yeah, this guy meets an ignoble end.
Right. But I'm also going to go back to like what Kev said, though, like it almost doesn't matter, which is crazy because like to have like a judicial procedural that the outcome of the case almost doesn't matter in the story.
I think like her getting acquitted, or whatever you would call acquitted in the French judicial system.
Yeah, l'acquit.
It's the plot of the movie. And I mean, look, as a longtime Mr. Bean fan, I'm really hoping that theory has some kind of truth to it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's the most Mr. Bean death ever. Absolutely.
But it's the strength of the movie that it's about what happens to her present tense versus what happened on that day.
But I mean, like even like when it comes to, and they did this very like intelligently. Like the script is great. She says she's never going to work with her romantic partner again writing a script, though, because I guess it seems like he probably got tense.
Got a little too real.
Yeah.
In lockdown writing the script.
Yeah.
It's like, oh God, are you
what a
gonna try
shocker.
to murder me?
But like the French right, and they've kind of made jokes about this in like there's a famous Key and Peele sketch where it's like a rapper that they keep playing his music that's like, then I fucking killed him, and like they're like he's like, what? It's a song, there's a musical license. But the same way she's writing these novels and like in it like
with this gun at this time. Yeah, I remember that bit. Yeah.
So there's like there's that Key and Peele
Or the
sketch.
Nazi sketch.
They do well. No, there's a Key and Peele sketch where they always go way too far with whatever concept it is. So it's like 5 minutes
so
of just different.
The show. Yeah.
So like they lost you, but like no, they're reading her novels and it's like, oh, there's a novel where like the woman's literally planning to murder her husband. And they're like, see, she wrote it in a book, and it's like,
right.
Like we kind of
So Black Tango.
That tends to be the simpleton's argument for cases that they only like vaguely understand or have knowledge of. The thing that was most interesting to me is him not using the idea for the book, and then her, well, if you're not going to use it, I'm going to use it.
Yeah,
which is sort of like, oh no, that could, and if it gets to be a big success,
I have been plundered and cheated on.
If it gets to be a big success, and somebody is that kind of mindset and prone to that jealousy and insecurity, that's gonna ruin someone.
Andy.
But that's something that I think I focused more on this time because I kind of knew the beats of the story already. Was like, yeah, that's huge. That's like huge for like an already strained relationship where he's setting up all these. We need to be out here. We need to be doing this, et cetera, and none of it's working for him, but it's working for her, and that's.
Yeah, well, and I feel like this isn't the only movie that we've talked about where it is like one person's able to. I mean, even I guess we never covered an episode, but like the shark and the whale, right? Like where one person's writing career completely is on the rise while the other partner's writing career is on the fall, or like these creative bursts where it's like when creative people are both gelling with each other, it works really well, but when creative people are at this kind of loss, it absolutely does not. And and like that creative frustration comes out in all these ways. I mean, I'm gonna guess that she's a really great writer, and he's probably just like a real shitty writer. Like
he's probably just a dude that lives in a patriarchy and has a high opinion of himself, like a lot of us.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's like the gender dynamics there, right? Of like not being the successful one, of being the one who took a back seat, who's taking care of the son, and the frustrations. He insisted they live in the chalet. What's that about? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm like a mountain, like straight up shining type shit. Like,
yeah,
exactly. He's gonna fix it up, and they're gonna turn it into a B&B to get money.
Yeah.
He's sick of being
between the books you're not writing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, have you heard of renting an apartment and
it's a wild concept.
Like, even think about that opening scene, right? She's like preying on this young woman who's come to interview her for her thesis, and it's a very typical power structure in like a male teacher, female student dynamic. Right. He's up working on the house, as he is all the time, right? He's tired of being a teacher. He's tired of being the caretaker. He's tired of living in these very stereotypical female roles. He's straining against a shift that is more and more common as we kind of reach more gender equality. It's interesting to look at it that way.
Yeah. But I was also imagining his whole like I have been plundered and cheated on tirade, right? I was imagining like a men's rights activist style, like YouTuber, like that could have been his calling. He doesn't get.
My God!
You know what I mean? Like because he has that perfect like, oh, I have been victimized, and her speech is like, you are not a victim. You're making choices. You're making choices every day. We all are, and I think she definitely is.
She's right.
Yeah,
I'll be the victim all your life.
She's also like, I think she is preying on that young woman, and then it comes back to like the whole Amanda Knox thing, where it's like every interaction you've ever had with people gets brought out, and it can be used in all these different ways. Where it's like, do you think she was seducing you in that moment? And she has to be like, there's different kinds of seduction, but that if things had gone well and if they had met in Grenoble, it's like she would have been all over seducing that woman. And it's like these moments that for everybody in these like with these various dynamics, like they can be read in different ways. All of her interactions can be read in different ways. And when you're on trial for murder, there's no moment more apparent than that, right? Like, you can look like a shifty person hanging out around somewhere and just be like kind of chain smoky or something. But if someone gets murdered near that place, all of a sudden that's a very different situation than you were just deciding to hang out in the park one day. Like,
well, I think you hit on something of being that if it was gender switch, we wouldn't kind of think twice about it. Be like, oh, that's creepy. That guy's doing that. Oh, well, we don't give it two thoughts. But then it's interesting that is used against her too by the reprehensible, easily hateable, great portrayal of like the villainous prosecutor. Who's basically like, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, lesbians are illegal and she's a lesbian, basically. Like, and it's like, well, neither of those things are true.
Ladies or relevant.
But he's trying to he's making a framed argument. He's good at framed arguments based off like an inherent conservative attitude that comes out of a lot of certain people involved in the judicial system, and a well portrayed heel for the trial situation. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, she will not commit to being straight. She will not commit to being gay. You're somewhere in the middle. How can you trust a woman like this?
Speaking of women, it might be nice to hear from the woman on the panel. Kristina, what do you think about literally any of the things we talked about for the past 20 minutes?
Oh, wow. What? I haven't talked yet? Okay, cool. But I think it's funny with the argument. It's like, there is, we're all, we have to make choices in life, whether, we can't keep playing the victim, especially men. No offense. But
not all men.
Yeah, hashtag not all men, but a lot of men.
Not the men on this screen, at least.
Yeah, hashtag not the men on the screen. But
she looks like she's rolling her eyes in the middle of
But yeah, I mean, I do like that we're kind of learning about like how the French judicial system works, because I feel like a lot of celebrities, if they want to sue, they probably should go to France. I'm not
celebrities. I'm looking to get litigious.
I'm not giving Jonathan Majors any ideas, but I mean, it's kind of too late now considering he admitted to doing what he did.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, I mean, again, I like when it comes to this movie, I'm surprised that it didn't get more recognition, honestly.
Yeah.
But that's because of, what she said about Macron, obviously.
I feel like it definitely, among cinephiles, like people that like nerds that like us, that like movies, I think it did very well, right?
Yeah.
But I think this could have got over on a wider audience in a way that a lot of the movies that we, love to talk about and we love to champion maybe couldn't have. And it's interesting. Like RRR, right? In the same way, not that they're the same kind of movie, but like of just like, oh, this would have killed.
They both,
they
both have fun music numbers.
They both do.
There you go.
There's something.
I think of Chicago.
This movie feels very deep, where like a movie that came out around the same time, like Priscilla, does not. But there's the same kind of caged bird element to these leading characters. So it's very different with I mean, I think that she is in this, like, Sandra's someone who knows what she wants. She's doing her writing. She's the breadwinner of the family. But there also does feel like there's almost this desire to control her by putting her up in this chalet in the middle of the mountains where she doesn't know anybody, taking her out of the country that she wanted to live in. She's she's kind of stuck. She's like the caged bird, pretty much. And I think that like that element of it, I mean, the dynamics between her and her husband, where he's growing, like they're going to resent each other more and more throughout this relationship.
Oh, it's not going to get better. Yeah.
Also, it kind of reminded me with the caged bird analogy would be Hunter Schafer's character in Cuckoo.
I still haven't seen that. I still want to see it. I still I never.
Phil's coming on for I think the end of next month. So you better get on it.
Yeah.
What a year for Sandra Hüller, by the way.
Yeah.
That's right.
Who's a badass in this? Like, she's
Zone of Interest, and I mean, two Best Actress nominations, right, for this and for
That's
Zone
right.
of Interest.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I was only like vaguely familiar with her before, but
with her game, didn't know it.
I did not know your game, Sandra Hüller.
But she's so good, and to be good in one language is one thing, but to be good in multiple languages.
Yeah,
Respect.
French, German, Austrian, like what the hell?
And I mean, language is such an interesting part of
and
this.
to show that, and that goes back to the point I was saying earlier. Yeah, like that there was like the actual shifting of language is very important to the plot, and maybe in a way that I didn't quite give as much credence to the first time. That like her discomfort when she's like, oh, let me change languages so I can articulate myself better. Things like that. It's like that is so deft and not a thing you see much.
But that's not even her. That's not even her first language. Like she's German. Well, in real life too. But this, right? She's supposed to be a German woman, but because of whatever happened with her like abusive father, she speaks no German. Like
she never wants to speak German. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what's crazy?
Yeah.
I recognized her from I'm Your Man with Dan Stevens.
That's right. I'm Your Man was great. That's an awesome movie.
She's the woman who offers the robot to the main character, I believe. I was like, what? When I was watching this, I was like, I kept thinking, why does Sandra Hüller look so familiar?
We almost did that one in Movie Night Automata, and I kind of regret not doing it, but that was a packed month. So
yeah.
It's the French thing, right? Like talking about switching the languages, but also the fact that this movie, like French people are like, well, if it's not all the way in French, we don't really want it for our best.
Is it really even French? Yeah. Okay.
Well, but there's the long history of diplomatic language.
It's like that je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, but diplomatic language, right? Every diplomat like pretty much needed to learn French because you would go to the courts and everybody at court would speak French, and so the French was like the diplomatic language, and because America is this superpower and like global hegemon, now it's kind of transferred to English. But it's like so it's almost like insulting that her diplomacy and like her court diplomacy in this, right? Like not high court, but like low people's court diplomacy has to be conducted a lot of the time in English because she went out of her way not to learn great French, like because that woman could have easily learned amazing French, and she's
well, that's why it's such a great performance. Right? It's like when people that are amazing singers are acting how to sing poorly, which is actually really hard to do.
Sandra Hüller did not know French. She learned French on the set, making this movie.
I love it.
Like with the Joker full of dude, Lady Gaga had to like train her voice to sound very soft and weak, and I'm like, why? That's gonna ruin your voice. I mean, even Britney Spears' voice, her babe, whatever, that was all fake because she sounded like Kristina Aguilera, so they completely made her change her voice. And
let's bring in.
You guys didn't go for that for Justice Month? All you do, it is a court drama.
Totally. Yeah. I think we might have mentioned. I think I may have mentioned it as a joke, but I was like, no, never mind. I don't know. Good. But like, what a flex to like, we're gonna get this great singer in here and have her sing badly. Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I mean, okay.
And then you gotta train for that shit too, which is like, how do you untrain that thing that you untrained for?
Yeah.
Double negative.
I mean, you can imagine that. Like,
I was unpacking that sentence in my head. I'm like,
you can imagine that, like with sports, like, oh, we're gonna train this guy to run slower, and it's like,
right, yeah, exactly.
Oh my god, yes.
Well, it's. I mean, that goes all the way back to when we did Scott Pilgrim, right? And Chris Murphy had to show these non-musicians how to like look like they're actually playing music. Which Alison Pill actually became a great drummer, and to his credit, Sarah already kind of knew a little bit how to play bass, but like homie on the guitar was hopeless. And it's like, well, it's a good thing you're not supposed to be like a professional level musician or anything, because
it's a good thing you're not in court for for murder, and they're like, the only way we can prove that it wasn't you is that you have to play a beautiful guitar melody.
You have to play sick riffs. Yeah, exactly.
It seems like
Stairway to Heaven. Oh wait, that's denied.
It seems like French court, right? Like, and I do want to play that clip in a minute after.
Go ahead.
It seems like the French court thing is like, it's just like a series of like tricks they're trying to figure out, like, because they have the whole sequence where they're like, oh well, the kid's blind, so what we have to do is, he said he was in this spot because he felt the tape, which like of course that's not like, he's like, oh, I was in the wrong spot.
I know you said tape, but I swear I heard taint. But
well, yeah, he feels the taint.
There.
Oh man,
he has to feel the taint. I'm like, wait,
he knows he's halfway between
the deleted scene.
Anyway. He knows halfway between the asshole and the balls. He feels the taint.
There you go.
He's like, I know exactly where I am.
Really rewarding my digressions.
But no, he feels the tape. The tape,
because that's his system to get around because he's blind, right?
But it's
so
like,
that's important to mention.
They put him outside. They throw the blanket outside, and they keep like playing the same music again to try to like they're like, oh, we're gonna reinvent the soundscape of your father's murder, and it's like and he's like, well, all right, we're gonna have to have it louder and louder. Oh, you don't want to yell at your husband and like incriminate yourself. Well, we'll have another woman come in with a completely different tonal set. Like, this does not feel like a scientific way to.
It definitely felt like
Was that Lady
reenact a
Gaga?
crime scene without knowing anything about reenacting a crime scene.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe France is just like this. I don't know. What do I know from it?
We got to get Lady Gaga in here to recreate this argument.
The shot where the son is taking a walk and he's looking at the house as they're pulling down the dummy from the attic window.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Which is kind of duplicated a couple times when he's in the court watching Sandra Hüller testify. That classic shot of her that's used so much from the courtroom is from that perspective. That blew my mind on this watch of like, no wonder the son just wants to get this over with. And he does all these things, magically remembering all these very dark, intimate stories about his dad. Because oh my God, imagine like having to watch this dummy over and over again, just trying to make them make sense of their defense.
Well, and there's the corollary between his blindness and the recordings where everyone in court has to listen to the argument, and you can't see what's happening. So everyone in court has to come to their own. They're like, "Oh, do your own research."
Theater of the mind, yeah.
Like it's the same. He's experiencing that every day. Because he's operating on sound systems, and like that kid was crazy. He really played the piano like that, and he's crazy that he can play the piano like that with his blindness, right? Like, obviously, like sometimes like people have, if they go blind when they're young, they have like heightened senses and stuff.
Ray
but,
Charles,
like,
I mean,
it's
not totally unprecedented.
But it's like, Stevie Wonder, but like it's just it's kind of nuts. Like everyone's kind of operating on that level, but not with any added bonuses. When they're doing the entire listening to the argument, and it's like, well, what happened? Because once you hear the glass break and you hear like you hear like that,
right?
There's no way to tell what's going on in that, right? Like, so like the guy that's like, oh, he's hitting himself in the head repeatedly, right? And it's like, I don't know, like as someone that like has moments of like neurodivergence, I've kind of like melted down,
right? Yeah, sure, it's possible,
like, and it's like thinking about that, like. But like the court doesn't really account for that kind of stuff, right? Like it's like no one believes that if you're in court and you're like, oh, that guy hit himself in the head a bunch of times. They're like, no, bitch, you hit him. Like,
Yeah, the condition with the son all ties into this theme of like they say that Justice is blind, but the bad news is Justice has ears and hands and a brain,
right,
and a mouth, right? Like it's all this about how things seem. How things look, the optics of things, right? Like the one for me, not to pull complete focus from this stuff with the son, but like there are these couple of scenes where we see a news reporter about to go into a report. And the one at the end is actually huge for me because we see her like, she's like dusting off her shoulders. She's taking a deep breath, whatever, just checking the light. And it's like, oh, it's all about the show. She's getting ready for the show.
The theatrics of it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
This is all about the show. This is all about how we present ourselves and how we're presented and what we think about that.
And so that makes more sense when I hear that it was the Amanda Knox, right? That's her name.
Yeah,
sure.
That was based on that because that's like so the modern show trial. I mean, I guess you could say it goes all the way back to OJ, right? But like,
one of many trial of the centuries. I mean, think about
trial of the century. Every week we got one. Yeah.
Casey Anthony.
But the spectacle and the fact that it's the court of public opinion as much as anything else as well. And
the court
also
of public
very international courts too. Like it was like her story was a worldwide. I mean, it became like a Lifetime movie. Like everyone knew about the Amanda Knox situation.
The court of public opinion in this thing is something that she's like singularly unsuited for. She has many gifts, but I think changing herself for the court of public opinion is something that she's directly like unsuited for, which is what makes it.
It's not to her strengths, right?
In the same way that speaking French is something in this movie that she's unsuited for. She's kind of thrown in on the fingers on the scale in the other direction, right? Like
Sandra again is giving props to her performance. She does such a great job of showing that when it's something where it's hard. Again, it's hard to describe how hard it is to be bad at something.
Yeah.
When you're not bad at something.
Yeah.
Like, and to be convincing, you're like, no, this is a person I'm watching, and you just forget.
Honestly, it's like watching Space Jam, and Michael Jordan's great at basketball, and then he thinks he's great at baseball, but we all know he's not good at baseball.
It's just like watching Space Jam, Kristina.
Yes, it
is. This is like watching a Space Jam, and
of all the movies, you could have be like, Conan, guess what movie Kristina's going to say? I would have been like, nope, 0. I didn't get it.
Or it's like, Dan Stevens' first movie was German. His first film he ever did was this movie called Hilda, and everyone's like, wow, he can speak German? Like, he did the press in German and everything. So it's like imagine him doing a movie where he has to not speak German properly, and I'm like,
well, we talked about City of Lost Children, a couple months ago.
Ron learned everything phonetically.
Duration on this show is nuts. City of Lost Children.
Yeah,
I took German for 3 years. What did I learn? Conjugating verbs and when the Berlin Wall fell down. That's it.
I learned all the best curse words and
Scheiße.
How to say my head is on fire. All the important things for a high schooler to know.
But her bad French, right, is not the same. At least
right.
As Rob Perlman's one me strong apes together.
Well, because that worked because of that role being that role. But this is, but Sandra, I might add, I always love when the character's name is the same as the.
Well, and his name is Samuel. The guy that they found his name is a famous French director named Samuel.
Yeah.
They have their actual names as their character names, which must have been a mindfuck when it's like, oh, did you murder Samuel? And you're watching the action in front of you, like, oh, bitch, you better not have murdered Samuel.
Yeah, right. but it's I was just saying it hits well, and I think it's something where this is it won for screenplay, right? It won for at the Oscars. It won for screenplay.
Yeah, it did,
which it is deserved, and especially now when
excellent screenplay.
When I come back to it, I'm like, no, that was probably the correct screenplay win, but it's. The performances in it are really great. It's just but it's trippy because for an American audience, we're not going to know, right? It's like, oh, there's a bunch of French people running around in this movie. It's like, if you're not, even if you are like Captain Cinephile and you've seen, I've seen all the Godard movies and I love Truffaut. Okay, well, me too. But we're not going to know all the modern stuff, and which is kind of it lends a level of a not anonymous nature to the players. That makes it seem more real. That makes it seem like this could just look like some French people to me. Like it's not like Bruce Willis or Chalamet or something running around. It's not like Dakota Johnson is on the witness stand. Okay, thank God. By the way,
I mean it does help that the cast is all extremely excruciatingly beautiful, I would describe.
Oh yeah.
Even Vincent's legal aid when they're trying to recreate the argument is where'd she come from?
She's hot too. Great.
His legal aid has a fascinatingly high pitched voice too.
It
does not when they're like, oh, we've never won a case. It does not. I'm not really.
I'm not sure if I don't know.
It wasn't instrumental.
I'm not sure. Maybe I was taking a pee break when I saw it in the theater or something, because I was like, wait, they never won a case. Did I just miss that? How did I miss that the first time?
Because
it's a long movie though.
A bunch of times. No, he only says it at the end. A bunch of times.
He's very confident. He seems like he knows what he's doing.
But he has multiple moments where he's not confident and he's like, oh, I'm fucked. And she's like, but you're a great lawyer. And he doesn't say shit back. And
right. That's what I noticed this time.
Wait.
Yeah, I didn't notice that
He says he's Daredevil. He's a great lawyer.
But there's multiple moments in this where he's
series is great, by the way.
He's clearly having a crisis of confidence in his mind, right? And she's like, no, don't worry, you're a great lawyer. And he's like, I'm a lawyer.
And that's something that makes this movie really cool, is that there's so many pieces of nuance and depth to all these characters and these little interweaving lines that, that's for someone like me, that's like a feast where it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to appreciate that. Right. And when a movie does 4 or 5 things well, when like some movies can barely do one. I mean, that's always worth celebrating, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that was a thread that I was like, did I just not pick up on that, or did it not like hit, or like was I just thinking about other things that like? It seems like that would be something to bring up in the beginning, you know. That's
yeah, well, but he's like, I mean, it makes a lot of sense when they're that scene.
My
together.
lawyer's a loser. I'm going to jail, dog.
Yeah, but he's like talking about like, oh, I was in love with you in college, and she's like, I don't even fucking.
Yeah,
remember
that part I remember. Yeah,
but she's like, I don't even remember all of this, and so it's like he wants desperately, I think, this girl that she's finally single and
ready to mingle,
and he's like, you know, in love with her or whatever, and you know, they have this relationship going back, and he probably wants to impress her by getting her off. I mean, you know, not like that, but like getting her off. Like,
you never know.
I mean, well, probably then that. But like I'm saying, like
they deleted that scene. You said earlier they deleted that scene, which I'm glad they did. By the way, because like that would have cheapened it a little bit. Also, the movie's wild long. It's enough.
Yeah, we all know, Conan. Conan, what is your rule again? What's your rule again?
Look, you should be able to do your movie in 90 minutes. That's all I'm saying. All right.
45-minute sex scene between her and her lawyer.
What does French porn music sound like?
But he's like, I might be a shit lawyer, but I'm great at making love.
Sergei Gainsbourg, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But I think that's so. A couple things unpack there. Forrest, I know you eventually want to play that clip, right? You want to say, I don't remember what's about at this point, but like whatever. Space Jam really threw me off my game, frankly.
I just remember it's about Jolene.
Instead of it being the Calypso Pimp remix, it's a remix. Is that what it is? Like what?
It's just the instrumental
version.
Instrumental. Okay. Instead of being that.
We used to do when I was in high school, right? We would play like silly that, and then we try to rap over it.
Oh, sure, yeah. That makes sense. And I'm not trying to be I literally don't know. I'm sorry. Like I said, I thought the dude was just like, oh, he's just in a band and he's doing a mix. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
he's just an asshole.
I thought he was going to be a DJ doing a 50 Cent remix, and like I thought
it wasn't the only one that didn't immediately.
He has a shitty little laptop that fucking a lot of times he'll be like, oh, I'm a DJ and I've got this shitty little laptop that I'm like recording on like whatever, like messing around with like Fruity Loops on it. And I was like, yeah, all right, buddy. Like,
but it was originally going to be Jolene, which is crazy when you think about the context of Jolene and the song.
And we know who Jolene is, right, Conan? Agatha Harkness.
Right. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was good. Honestly, that show was underrated. That show was underrated. Like, and everybody's burned out on it. Look, I am too, but that show was underrated.
By the way, R.I.P. to Carl Thomas Dean, you know, Dolly Parton's like husband that died like in the last couple months.
Was he? That's what Joe. It was about him and that girl and some girl. Well, Marcus, we know now, but like, but Jolene.
And have you seen what Dolly Parton looked like when that came out too? Yeah, must have been some broad. Thank you. That's my daily dose of toxic.
I love her. She's so unapologetic about all the stuff that she's gotten done to herself and all. Like, good for her.
Well, she had to beat Jolene somehow.
Respect. All right. Gonna play this clip, or we just riff if you want.
I have to ask about music. Okay, you have the music cue of the year with 50 Cent PIMP. I mean, the steel drum version. It's absolutely incredible. What were you thinking? How did that come to you? Was that in the writing process? Like, were you guys writing with that in the background, or?
No, it was not in the writing process because it was Jolene. It was Jolene of Dolly Parton at the beginning.
We wrote with Jolene in mind. And even had like the lyrics were a part of one scene in which the bad lawyer is trying to explain why he intentionally put this music because the lyrics are directly speaking to Sandra. But we didn't have.
No, but I had this track in my computer since 3 years ago. I think it was one of my favorites. You know, maybe I heard it. I don't know, 300 times, lot of time. I love so much this version, but it was my music. It was not for the movie. And after, when Dolly Parton said no. We were okay. Fuck! We have just 2 weeks to find the music, and I was totally very, very anxious about this. And I said, okay, 15 cents is the best. But you know, yes. And I think it was interesting because This version is special. I like very much the original, but it was too expensive for me, and I think it would have been much more, ça aurait été trop.
Attendu, ouais.
Non, mais pas ça. Ça aurait été trop signifiant, quoi.
Too much meaning.
Too much meaning, with the lyrics and.
Yeah.
This one is particular. It's weird, It's not too hype. It's not too parisien au branché, comment tu dis? Oui, hype.
Not hip Parisian like.
It's you don't know exactly. It's of course you know this song because it's so famous, but it's not, And yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Now I just can't stop thinking about Dolly Parton in this film.
Sorry. No. For me, I love so much Jolene, and I think it would have been very different. But I loved so much the argument in the courtroom about the lyrics of Dolly Parton. So I was very disappointed because I was like, we have to put all in the garbage because of that. But
well, to me, it's the funniest line of the film when the lawyer is talking about the misogyny, and then the other attorney goes, "It's instrumental."
Yes. We wrote it at the end, just before the set, okay, just a line.
But I also would love to hear you talk about the other music, and the music is very spare in the film. I mean, aside from PIMP, you have it's when the sun is playing. The scenes when the sun is playing are so significant. Like how you chose when to include that, and then there were also a couple moments where you have music playing over a scene where it's not actually happening. Like there's two moments, and now I'm forgetting.
With the child on piano? Oh no, on other things?
Well, at the end, there's when you
over.
Yes.
Really.
You hear PIMP when it's not happening in the actual scene. It's carrying over from the previous scene, I think.
No.
PIMP is always
the film is always actually.
It's always in
the. The only one is at the end.
It's the one at the end. That's what I'm thinking.
But the music it's very interesting because in the writing process at the beginning, my producers told me, okay, what do you want for the music? You want to meet a composer?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, I don't want a composer because thrillers and all the movie like this, the genre movie is always with music like this with huge nap. No, not nap.
It puts you to sleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, it's not.
No, it's not that.
Oh, it's overwhelming.
Design,
it overwhelms the movie.
It would have been a very different movie if they'd used Jolene, frankly.
No kidding.
It would have been on how you say les nose, too on the nose. I don't know, dude. Just like imagining how much more of a bitch that guy would have been. Like, all right, he's playing PIMP and he's talking about it, but he's playing Jolene, like really loud.
Jolene. I'm begging you, please don't take my man.
Please do not take my wife, please.
It's almost a little too on the nose, I guess. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
That's a bit, that's like the old joke. Take my wife, please.
It's but like I like how she says Dolly Parton. Like she puts the accent on that Parton.
It would be just a little too much. I feel like PIMP is funny, cuts right through in the theater. I saw this movie 3 times in theater and it was blaring every time. Amazing. The first time you're not expecting it, hilarious.
Well, and the volume does get over. You're right. And like I remember I was like, God damn, like what, like I was like this I was like, and again, me living in my bubble, I was like, this dude really loves making calypso music.
But I've been there. I've lived with musicians. You guys, over and over again to get the perfect mix. I've been there.
And most of us have lost a lot of hearing too, so that doesn't help anything.
I do feel like I would rather, if I was if I could had any musical talent, right? I would much rather my whole murder trial happen with like someone else's song than my own song. They're like playing your own song over and over again at your murder trial, and it's like, I don't know, that's my life.
Nick Cave is boned. Somebody asked him. This is a great question. Somebody asked Nick Cave like what he thought his body count was in all his songs, and it was a pretty hilarious answer. But yeah, it was a lot.
Oh wait, Nick Cave, like Red Right Hand?
Yeah. Which was in in every movie for like, it was mandatory by law that Red Right Hand be in your horror movie or whatever.
But now it's also it's known as the Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But there's like a certain level of like delusional, performative, toxic masculinity, I would say, to the song PIMP, right? Like, because this guy is getting cheated on left and right. He's not having sex with his wife, as you hear in the argument. His wife is she's kind of going crazy.
What does she say? She's like, I can
go without sex, but not forever.
But not
he's
for
like,
forever.
Right. Yeah. So he's trying to assert.
What are you doing, dude?
He's trying to assert his masculinity in this moment by playing a 50 Cent song as a French guy who's just hammering the chalet upstairs. And
when I think of French, I think of 50 Cent, definitely. Mm-hmm, yeah.
But there's like this
Frank.
level of like. You have and I mean, as a guy, like I understand, like you feel in this moment, you feel emasculated, you feel castrated, as they say, and you feel like you have to somehow figure out how to assert your masculinity, and he does it the way that like a teenage boy would do it, like, oh, I'm gonna like, I've done that to like my parents when I was younger, like I wanna piss my parents off, so I'll just turn music louder and louder until everybody like goes away, like, you know what I mean, like, but like there's a very the song they picked, I like it for that reason. A song like Jolene just wouldn't have the same. It wouldn't hit the same.
Too on the nose.
Yeah.
The sentiment's too on the nose, and I love that sentiment. I love that song, and I love to see Holly winning, and I love to see her stuff in like anything. Really, I absolutely love it, but it would have been way too on the nose. It would
9 to 5. That would be
exactly. Yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah,
that would have been very funny if he
was doing 9 to 5 instead. Ironic because he's not working at all.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my god! Imagine ironic by Lance Morissette was in that.
I would have been. I have been upstairs and I have been hammering from 9 to 5 every day to make the Airbnb for this family.
Seriously.
Yeah. Seriously. But I think that it works well. It works well, and that's it. It's coming from someone not familiar with the song at all. Like, it's sort of like, oh, he's just being a dick. He's doing this to, like, she's recording the interview, and he's gonna make it so it's like impossible to like have a regular conversation because, again, if the gender roles were reversed, that would be something we'd be kind of more used to seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. And, like the woman in a relationship without agency is going to, like, strike out how she can. It's awesome. It's well done. And it tells you everything you need to know about their relationship. And we talked about some stuff about the kid. And I'm curious what everyone's thoughts are about his testimony.
So
and his story about in the car. And whatnot.
This is the clip that I found that goes on, and I can play it. They talked about finding a blind kid that could play the that piano like that, and they talked about.
But it's not just Russ, because you're seeing what you were just saying. It's like
looking for the blind
how he's progressing or not with piano, but also what's going on with him and what's playing on his face. And I'd love to hear you talk about how you found him. I don't know if you've worked with him before. He's incredible. I mean.
Thank you. It was a huge casting, really, really long, because we started with just blind and visually impaired child, So I wanted really, really a real visually impaired or blind child, and it was really, really complicated because in Europe, we were in different countries for this, and I think. We didn't find him, and after we opened to all the children, but we discovered that the lines was so difficult for everyone. Mm-hmm. It was really, really hard, and I think we were looking for a child trop jeune par rapport à le niveau d'écriture était trop élevé par rapport à l'âge de l'enfant.
Yeah, the writing level was a little too high for the age of the child we were looking for. Makes it difficult.
And so when we met Milo, it was very crazy because I think he's a little nerd, in real life. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, damn. He's not speaking like other children's, And yes, it was so beautiful the way we discover him was with the sound. I not choose him with the picture, I just saw the picture and said, no, it's not the child of Sandra Hüller. So I just put it, and just we were in the same place with Arthur, and at the moment he said, it was the evening. We just, it was always the same thing. I put all the casting, and we just hear the children's. And at the moment he said, wow, who is the children? He's not speaking like, and I said, no, he's not looking like Sandra, it's not possible. And after, he go back for he did a call back, and he was so amazing. He was totally a level of intensity. It was crazy. And at the end, I asked, why did you cry like this? Why? How you? And he just said, my brother is an actor, and I'm very jealous. And I wanted to have that cast because my brother has everything, and not me.
God.
And I was like, okay, it's
that's good.
It's a motivation for. It was crazy. He was really, really amazing. It was just an exercise with the key, and just the coach had the key and said, just ask me the key. And in your castle there is your favorite animal, and you want to save your animal. It's really all the children were not good in that exercise, and he's like, give me the key, and he was in really me. I'm not a good actress, sorry, but he was really, really amazing.
Wow.
And after I say, okay, he could do. He's not just a nerd. He could have something else. So, and after, yes, he was. He has no cell phone. He's not like other kids.
Yeah. I mean, I love the scene in the courtroom when. I love he's got fragility, and I worry for him. He like throughout the film, and then he's the one who's in a position of real weakness as a child, and the fact that he delivers the testimony in court, where then you see the prosecuting attorney just knows he's lost. It's such a great moment. It was the kid brought him down. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I think it was one of the most difficult scenes to shoot, because I think he changed at that moment. He grew up really at that moment. He changed. Yes. It was very interesting. And for me, of course, because I'm a director, and it's not the same work when you are working with actors, amazing actors, and when you work with children, you have to be different. It's child, so I had to be, of course, so dans le care, quoi, je sais pas comment dire.
I had to be so careful.
Merci. Thank you. Sorry. And yes.
Yeah.
But for me, I like so much to do that job for this too, because there is a kind of yes, it's the first time. I saw the first time for that kid in a movie, like this. It's so amazing, of course, because he loved that so much. So it was amazing to see that kid too. Okay. It was amazing, yes. And of course with animals too, it's always full of surprise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I have a question for you guys about the testimony. Do you guys think that he made up his testimony to save his mom in the end, or do you think, like, at least, all right, maybe not all of the testimony, right? Because he did fucking poison his dog, and then that worked out. But the part where he talks about the conversation in the car with his dad, do you guys think he made that up?
I got thoughts, but I'll go last. Kev, Kristina, you want to happen on that?
It's hard to tell. I don't know. Maybe it would make an interesting idea that a blind kid could be an awesome liar. Because it's kind of like because
despite all his physical shortcomings, he turned out to be a fantastic liar.
Well, you can just say,
here's the thing: he can't see what's in front of him, right? Like he's not like everyone's like he can lie with a literally straight face.
They keep saying throughout the trial, they're like, don't you see? Like, he keeps making visual references throughout the trial. I noticed a lot. They're like, like a bunch of times. They're like, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you see? And I'm like, oh man, that kid probably feels bummed out that
right.
This is a case of blind justice.
How ableist.
I think
that
the
a movie
key to
too?
this.
Anyway, whatever.
I think the key to this is the scene where the journalists are going through. It's a mix of two scenes. It's where they're like the prosecutor is going through Sandra Voiter's books and listing the events in her life that parallel. It's kind of autofiction.
Yeah, which is not something I feel like you could do at like the way they did that in an American court. Like,
there's no way.
No. Well, I mean, it would have to be like
you ever slip it in.
I don't know. Dan Brown would have to shoot a guy in the Vatican to get to that level of like, this is what your books are like.
Yeah.
But like, he's seeing that. Well, he's there in the room experiencing that. Excuse me. There you go. Extremely poor choice of phrase. But then they're watching the TV show where they're going through the books too, and they're analyzing what she's done in her autofiction and how that reflects. Right?
Yeah.
Making up stories based on your real life in order to find success. Interesting to put that right up against the scene, like not just the scene in the courtroom, which is interesting on its own. In that way that we talked about, where it's like you probably couldn't do that here, but then to say it again, to bring it up again.
Yeah. Well, and there's also a crazy moment where that I noticed watching like the second. Like I didn't notice this at all the first time, but at least from what I remember, the second time I definitely noticed this, where they're having the conversation on that panel on TV, and they're like, "Oh well, here's like all the evidence that she murdered." Like she murdered her husband, is in this book, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, could the husband have committed suicide? And the guy's like, well, that's not an interesting outcome to this. You know what I mean? Like that's the part that there's no legal analysis of it, right? Like it's just like, well, that would have been that's boring, and we don't want a boring trial.
We want to find this woman guilty because she's a woman and she's
that's court of public opinion again, right? But no, I think that's something I really zeroed in.
He's a mademoiselle.
I really zeroed in on this time was the son's testimony. We're clearly setting up that he's basically saying his dad could have committed suicide. That like he was, because he talks about it. Well, you have to get used to messy. Snoop, not messy. Messy. I always call characters by their actor name. Why limit it to human beings? I'm gonna do it to dogs as well.
Mom does the opposite because she don't know much about movies.
Like Messi's like that really famous soccer player too, and then it's like
I don't care. Moving on. The son's testimony is, I think he did embellish. So best case he embellished, or outright lied, or made it up, because knowing that like he's basically is bulletproof as far as. No one thinks that this kid is going to be suspect, and he doesn't want. Whether his mom killed his dad or not doesn't matter to him because it's going to take her away from him. And so he embellishes this story that sounds plausible based upon what we've learned of the dad so far. And that I think he actually is at least misrepresenting things or embellishing. And I'm not sure I caught that earlier on because I was like, oh, this guy's what a dick. Like the dog's been poisoned. He's like, you need to get used to not being the dog not being around anymore. It's like, oh wait, he's not talking about the dog, dummy.
Yeah.
Okay. Duh, I get it. Sorry. Quick study over here.
It's like you said the kid's not bulletproof. I thought of Cyclops. So you fine.
Sure. Okay, sure. I get it. But you know what I mean? Where it's like I think that there it's not that he's necessarily I'm going to perpetuate a fraud. It's that he embellishes parts of the story.
Like he's like
he's a smart kid. He knows what's going on. And you see that scene where they're together afterwards too. And again, that comes back to the ultimate answer is not important for the story, but obviously it's important. The outcome is very important for not only their story, but their lives. And if you were in a situation where you had the ability, like you already lost one parent, are you going to lose your other one as well? I think that's another layer of moral quandary I definitely did not pick up on the first time.
Yeah. Well, and so I definitely didn't recognize this. I was just reading Reddit posts.
Yeah, Reddit theories. Yeah, we know.
Yeah, but like one of the things that kind of caught my eye, and then I was.
Have you heard about these chemtrails? They're crazy. Anyway, moving on.
They want to ban them in one state.
does like caught my eye when I'm talking about a blind kid's testimony. But one of the things that I realized the entire his whole that conversation where his dad is talking to him, we get like a flashback, right? Like that's one of the few times in the movie where we get like a thing that's not on the screen in front of you. But when the dad's talking to him, it's in his voice. Like he's like, oh, you're gonna have to be stupid. It's not as jarring as it would be if he was speaking in English, because he's speaking in French, and it's like, like, all right, well, he's telling the story. But like, I feel like it would be very jarring in English if I was watching this and the dad has the kid's voice, and it's like in that moment where he's telling the story, he's like, you're gonna have to be around for
So for me, that hammers home that hypothesis that the kid's making it up because the dad is speaking in the kid's voice.
Yeah,
right?
I definitely think that
wake up, sheeple. Sorry,
he does have the realization. I think he does have that realization and that moral quandary where he realizes, okay, there's plausible deniability enough that I don't think that my mom did it. And I think for a lot of the movie, when he tells his mom to get out and is like, get out.
So if I may, the real trial is not the actual trial, but the trial of the boy's mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
again, he could get away with lying because they could be like looking at him. He's not looking at them because he's blind.
Yeah.
So he could get away with having a resting bitch face. So we'd be like,
and by the way, how cool
blind kid has a resting bitch face.
You just call a blind child has resting bitch face, Kristina?
Hell yeah, I did.
Okay. Wow, amazing! What a show,
ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Like and subscribe, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I believe that this child has resting bitch face.
and so, last thing on this, Preminger famously despised flashbacks. Would not put any in Anatomy of a Murder. Like everything you see in that movie is it has to be theater of the mind, and you hear things described, but you never see things shown that are happening within real time. So I actually think that. The Triet is how we say it, right? Is you say Justine Triet? Okay. Sure. She did a great job by including flashbacks in a way that isn't just hacky.
Yeah.
But again, I think serves a narrative function. That's when you learn, again, and for me, my take on it, that the kid's lying. And like I did not catch that at first.
Right, which wouldn't be a flashback at all. We are seeing his imagination.
It's his imagination. It's a fabrication. And I was like, God damn, that's cool. That is like.
How do you try to paint your imagination murder without maneuvering the like flashbacks or whatever?
Yeah.
Use your imagination.
The Weekend Alone with the devastatingly beautiful coin-appointed nanny now becomes the trial of, can I move on alone?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Should I save my, it really does become the trial of,
because he has the power.
Live without, because look, if this kid, I don't know French foster care system or how any of that works, but I have a good idea of what it's like in America, and you're alone.
Yes.
To like a prominent member of the community that's going to use you as like a pickpocket. Like this.
That's like Oliver
We've
Twist.
canonically established this through film. Yeah, absolutely.
No, but there's something.
No, but that's real though, right? Right? Because it's like this kid is like, look, if she goes up the river or whatever they say in France, that's the game. You're in the system now. You're boned for forever. And by the way, doubly so if you're impaired. If you have, a disability, forget it.
But there's also so as somebody that went to school with like an IEP and had like some stuff when I was a kid.
I shouldn't say impaired, by the way. Sorry, that's
learning as someone that had like kind of learning disability stuff when I was a kid, right? I remember how alienating it felt to go into like those meet, and then that's nothing like being blind or like having an impairment to that level, right? Like that's like a real like disability that that is going to impact you, and that you have to make like all of these lifestyle changes to be able to function in the world. But I remember how alienating it felt as a kid to even know that I had stuff like going on with me, and how alienating it felt after like having to go to a school with like smaller class sizes, even, you know what I mean? And like I can't imagine how alienating it is to start with, right? If you're suddenly blind, like you're a very smart kid, you're like a gifted kid, and suddenly you're blind. And then you have to go through your life that way. And it seems like he's only going to school. He's being homeschooled. He's only going to school a couple days a week with other kids. Like there's so much already alienation.
It's a delicate ecosystem to begin.
Yeah, and but then the mom gives the speech where she's like, I didn't want him to ever feel like he was impaired or that he had a disability because this is his life. Like we're not going to give you another life. Like this is your life, and you can make the most of it. And he has all these gifts, and like his father was treating it like he was. Which like the dad just seems like kind of sucks, but the dad felt guilty because he just didn't pick the kid up on time, and then the kid got hit by a motorcycle and lost his vision. And it's like he's doting on the kid, and she's like, I didn't want him to feel that way because it is this alienating thing. So then you're adding the additional layer of like pulling the father away from him.
So again, this movie could have had a musical number very similar to Cell Block Tango because the dad had it coming. Okay,
but I just think I like
treating his son like garbage.
I don't think he was treating his son like garbage. He was treating his son like he was using his son to salve his own.
It was a guilt tulpa,
right?
Yeah, like he was seeing his son as an appendage, ultimately that he was
or something that he had to like atone for himself.
He had done wrong that he cannot do right. He internalized that into self-loathing. Self-loathing goes along with the fact that he can't create. By the way, can I just tell you, as someone who actually does like create, and I think anyone will back me up on this, when you're like depressed or like angry or whatever, that's not when it's a good time to be creative. Like you, generally speaking, cannot access those things, and like it doesn't make it any better because then you get into what.
It seems like this is this guy's resting state. At least
it's his resting state because you get into a spiral for it, where you're like, "Wow, I can't write right now because I'm so worked up about all this stuff. Why can't I write?" And then you go down further down, and it's a very real thing that happens with creative people, which is a lot of times what we know of as like writer's block or whatever.
Or you make Thoughts of Death Barbie or something like that.
Right.
No, like
Thoughts of Death Barbie.
I used to write like short stories and poetry.
That's the best example. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've talked about this but like I used to write short stories and poetry constantly as like when I was younger, and needed to get it all out or whatever. But like at some point, just kind of hit a point of like writer's block where I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And I remember feeling that frustrated, and it really was the only time, like one of the few times I really have felt like he.
Well,
like,
and it's crazy.
Her husband's thing is where he's like,
because the thing you need to do the most is like let that go and relax. But it's the least possible thing for you to be able to do. And it's easy. And there you go. It's very it's easy to say.
Well, he did kind of let go in the end.
Hey, I mean, awooga. but I'm serious. Like that, and that's why the loathing for Sandra too, because she's Kristina. Come on, man, because she's experienced the same thing, but it hasn't killed her creative spark. So
at least laugh at my jokes.
I mean, they're funny, so I'm gonna laugh at them. By the way, I'm impressed with myself for keeping the narrative thread of what I'm trying to say right now. But he is pissed off at her because they experienced the same thing, yet she's still able to create and be successful. And then he has to find some sort of thinly veiled justification for like why that happened. It's because it's my idea. It's because it's my idea that you took. That's the reason why, and that is the story I can now tell myself to my thinly failed. Like
I was on the verge of creating the best novel that anyone has ever fucking. Like you can see this guy's
totally
thread of delusion going like 10 years, and he's like, I had the best novel idea. I had written it all out. It was almost gonna get published, and then my bitch wife.
And the fact that this movie does not give you that soliloquy is a testament to the filmmaking. Because I think in a lesser movie, and I hate to say it, in most American movies, you would absolutely get that and it would be well acted. Maybe it's by Nicolas Cage or something, and we all love it. Great. Yeah. Actually, I would totally watch that remake, by the way. But anyway,
of course you would.
But like the restraint. Restraint is the word I'm looking for that.
He's
for
like. He's on tape with her. My novel.
I have a son. You have a son. You can write. I can't write. There you go. Moonlight
Yeah.
everyone. Okay.
I don't know. There's just I think the guy sucks, but in like completely understandable
Moonstruck.
ways, right? Like,
Why do I always
there's-
confuse Moonlighting and Moonstruck? I had a perfect cap to that.
Moonstruck
And I
is
ruined it.
PG.
I
There is
fucking
PG.
ruined it. I said Moonlighting. That is a completely different thing. That's a
Snap out
television
of
show.
it.
God damn it, I do it every time. I did it when
Nicolas Cage's Moonlight. Oh, I'm gay. Oh,
Bruce Willis in Moonstruck. Sure. Okay. Yeah. Let's just. Yeah.
Oh man.
God damn it. I'm so good at so many things. There's some things I'm just like. Bleh.
Something about the moon.
It's got a moon in it, right? That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
Barry Jenkins.
Sailor
Moonlight
Moon,
with,
same thing.
Sailor
Barry
Moon.
Barry Jenkins Moonlight with Nicolas Cage. Oh, I'm gay. But like, no, but he sucks in completely like he sucks in completely understandable ways. Yeah. And it's these different people's different people deal with trauma in different ways, and like when someone's dealing with trauma, like her son going blind is like a huge trauma, but
It's
like
huge,
there are
huge
people
trauma,
that
sure.
are just able to move forward, and that's all they want to do. They want to move forward. They don't want to sit and sulk about it. They don't want to have that self-loathing. And if you are someone who has that kind of self-loathing, and then you're partnered up with someone who is like that, and vice versa, right? Like, it is.
It's a recipe for strife.
Yeah.
For strife in a relationship. What's the prosecutor? Antoine Reinartz, right? Is that
Reinartz? Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, sorry.
Reinartz, I think. Yeah.
He does such a great job of just weaponizing that like patriarchal.
Yeah.
Sort of like, oh well, you emasculated this guy. What'd you expect? Blah blah blah. This and that and the other. And it's so. It's so well done and so believable. You're just like, this guy sucks. God, I hate this guy. He's such a POS.
This bitch.
This movie and lay bitch. No, but this is the thing with this movie though. Like, and then watching Anatomy of a Murder at the beginning of a month, it's like, look, if you're if you're a woman scorned or whatever, a woman on trial for murder, right? Like, it's 1959 back in that courtroom, baby. Like, if you're accused of murdering your husband, like,
and that's one of those things that I love, that when she made this movie, like, it's those kinds of things that she's like, history doesn't repeat itself, but sometimes it rhymes. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you have these like throwbacks to like,
well.
Yeah, well, exactly. But it's done so elegantly and clearly out of love for that like, that's one of the great procedurals, right? Before we had courtroom procedurals as television shows and streaming content, whatever we call it now. So to have it on a meta-contextual level, to be able to recognize that character and that character doing those things, and really, again, without the Nicolas Cage level soliloquy of why he's so frustrated, be like weaponizing those patriarchal intentions. Good. Very good. Because it's one of those things that you almost don't know what to root for, because you're like, well, I think Sandra's cool, but I guess she could have done it. I guess she should face some kind of repercussions. I don't know. And it's a balancing act. And I don't think I gave it enough credit first time I saw it.
I think I think
it does
that
take a rewatch to really
because there's a lot there, right? There's a lot to uncover.
I really hate that this is stuck with me because it's a Louis C.K. line, but Louis C.K. had a stand-up bit where he said that this like fits into here. Like he said that he thinks like something like racism, right, is like an accident of history. Like people end up hating each other for physical. He thinks that, and then he said that sexism, like men and women and patriarchy, is way the fuck in here, to the point where we are never going to probably end up actually being able to fully purge that from society, right? Like the clash between men and women, like, and I feel like that's very true here. Like the guttural level of this guy's I guess you would call it well, I don't even know if it's like he's like signaling the entire time like these different things, like, oh well, she's bisexual, she doesn't really treat relationships well, look at these, not like, it's all like, it's almost like dog whistling, right? Like in a weird way, but like, but he's like dog screaming. Yes. But yeah, he's like all of these different like misogynistic kind of things throughout this, and making the husband out to be like, oh, look at this like poor schmuck. His wife was out of control, and he is castrated, which is such a good French like, oh, she feels castrated, like
it somehow sounds worse when it's coming out of a Frenchman's mouth. Yeah,
but like throughout that, right, like it is that gutter, like it hits you just here, like. You're like, oh well, look at her. She's able to just walk around and not take care of her son the way that I think. You don't know her besides whatever you find out in court, but not able to take care of her son.
He's painting a picture. He's painting a picture of this terrible mother.
What I'm saying is like the picture that he's painted is so just dripping with like this misogyny.
Because he's leaning to what he has, and what he has is centuries of patriarchy.
What he has is oh, people hate women. We can play to that. That's how they're applying the defense, and he's like, look, we can do the we can't really say that with the accidental fall, but we can say he's like, oh well, the misogyny. I think we go with that angle, huh?
Yeah. I mean, but again,
I like the Justine.
But it shows it doesn't tell. It shows you it rather than telling you.
I like that her partner that she wrote it with just calls him the bad lawyer. Like her bad lawyer. Like, he was like,
her bad
lawyer. That's what he was supposed to be, right? Like,
the first half of my cousin Vinny.
He seems seems very. He's like smooth as a character, and you're like, but then the one time you see him not with her and just kind of on his own, he seems like he's like pacing around, and it seems like he's very flustered. He can't get the money out for the lien, and then his assistant or whatever, his law partner, has to come and help him with that, and he's constantly drinking on the job, and it's like. This guy's like the world's worst lawyer, right? Like because he's French.
Worse than the stuttering public defender from my cousin Vinny. And that says a lot.
It feels like because he's smooth and French, it's harder to tell how bad of a lawyer he is in some ways. Right? Like the first time you watch it, you're like, I don't think
accents
you should be
make you smart.
I don't think you should be drinking as soon as you get out of court in the parking lot, bro. Like, But you see an American lawyer doing that, you're like. Look, this guy seems like he's an alcoholic. Get this guy off the case. You see a French lawyer doing it, it's like, oh, that's
he's French. What are you gonna do?
He's European.
What they do over there, I guess. I don't know. They're all busy.
He's like fucking railing beers in the parking lot with her after the trial's done. It's like, I don't think this is what you guys should be doing after your trial. Like they've lit something on fire in the yard too, and it's like they're standing over a fire, just like. Chugging down beers, and she's like, oh, I'll take another one, and he's like, dude, you're on trial for murder.
Yeah, he's by the way, that guy Swann
Arlaud.
He's a César award winner, which again, just for people that don't know, he's like the French Oscars, right, for best supporting and best actor for two movies I have not seen, but I have on my watch list.
Swann Arlaud.
That guy's great. He's a great actor. It's awesome.
He's an actor. A couple people in this are like French directors that are like the Samuel character.
They can kind of act.
By the way, on the right side of history for the Gerard Depardieu thing, too. Remember that the sexual assault. Gerard Depardieu, everybody. I don't know what am I bringing this up for. Anyway, he was.
It's funny because
not great.
Samuel Thies, the guy that plays Samuel. Is on the bad side of his own sexual assault scandal, because he's a director and he sexually assaulted a crew member a year after this movie came out for that I sing thing, or I swear, whatever. I swear, I guess.
By the way, Swann also signed a petition addressed to Macron demanding France to officially recognize the state of Palestine. So,
oh yeah,
you need to acknowledge Le Palestine. No, a lot of it seems like there's kind of like their whole group of people.
So much Franco baiting on this show. I didn't expect it, but I've also participated in it. So
whoa, they're Franco baiting.
Call me John Adams.
Is that how you say masturbating in French?
There, yeah. In case anybody didn't understand the subtext of what you were saying, I'm so glad you spelled it out. Just in case.
No, I think that
we're talking about flogging the bishop, ma'am.
It does seem like Justine Triet's her like her.
Has anyone seen any other movies she's done? I haven't. Are they good?
Not yet.
I went to watch look at some of her movies, and then it said the one before this wasn't that good, like critically at least. It was like kind of panned, so I didn't end up watching it. But it seems like the one that's like In Bed with Victoria, I think is the name of it. People have said it was very good.
Ladies
and gentlemen of the jury,
She was
Victoria
in bed with Victoria.
she is bisexual. Which, like, I don't. If you're in even in an American court where we're a deeply like homophobic society in so many ways, right? Like that shit comes right back up, to the surface all the time. Like I still don't see you being able to be like, did you know she was bisexual? As like in the middle of the court, it's like tone it down a little bit, guy. Like,
like okay,
yeah. Like, did you know? Did you know that is the crime in France? It's not a crime to be gay, but it is a crime to be bisexual.
If France is more conservative than the United States, who cares she was bisexual? They would be embracing that over there.
But it's like but it is. There's something to like this whole month of movies, like that.
But they have conservative people over there too, though.
Yeah.
I know,
right?
I get it, but like when I think of France, I think of love and romance. And,
of course, that's their brand identity proposition.
When I think of France, I think of Pepe Le Pew.
Who also is up there with Gerard Depardieu for the sexual assault allegations. If you ask me, you've seen those cartoons recently?
Noted sex pest Pepe Le Pew.
Pepe Le Pew canceled.
But no, I think but there is something to like this whole month of movies. The inner like conservatism, pops out in the legal system, right? Like because as much as we want to say like, oh, everyone's innocent until proven guilty, like that is not the way brains operate in any of these contexts. Mm-hmm. And it's like you are guilty until proven innocent.
And it goes back to the 12 Angry Men thing, right? Like
I was gonna say
movie.
especially if a jury decides like, you know what?
Yeah,
we're taking this. We are taking her down a few notches, huh?
What's that?
I wonder what French juries are like. Like, I want to see a 12 Angry Men, but
what French. If 12 Angry Men but French? Yeah, okay.
12 horny men.
Listen, Letterboxd is a social media site for film lovers talk with and to each other about the movies they love, maybe the movies they didn't love, maybe the movies that they just did some light shipping with, I guess we might call it, with the main characters. And of course, everybody gets to have their say. It's a bottom-up democracy. Everyone gets to chime and opine, not just Siskel's and Eberts of the world. Everyone gets to have their say, and that is best expressed succinctly. For this bit, where weekly, I collect the best of the short-form reviews, put them on the screen for the panel and our glorious guests to react to and talk about. These are the Letterboxd one-liners for Anatomy of a Fall. How am I supposed to respect French people when their court system is so foolish? Prosecutor can just say things like, this woman is bisexual, so that means all she knows is eat hot chip, kill husband, plunder book, and lie. And jury will take you seriously. Foolish country.
Oh my God.
Listen, all right, we know things about les bisexuals, okay? They charge les phone, twerk, be bisexual, eat hot chip, and they lie. And they cannot cook. Huh?
I mean, at least they read clearly. American courts, I don't know.
Yeah. Like, look, we have a written testimony. God damn.
Written. Can you do it in the form of a TikTok, please? Thank you.
You must be rich.
It must be a class thing. You really want us to read in court?
Did they ever consider the possibility that he may have been a bum with bad vibes?
I did. I did during this stream in the last few days.
That's one of those things that, like, as societies of different countries and cultures shift in gender dynamics, this is what it's all about. Is sometimes just a bum with bad vibes. Maybe he's raging against the dying of the light of masculinity. Who could say?
And he trips on a ball.
He's 100% on a ball. Dude, he is 2 weeks away from starting a podcast, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, and somehow that's what he excels at.
That's gonna be his big thing.
Yeah.
What if Mr. Bean was just so angry all the time that's how he got into his scrapes? That's how he got so clumsy. Is he's just pissed off?
Well, his wife writes and he can't write, and his wife plundered his book and cheated on him.
Oof,
Sad, really. This time around, I got to really dig in the details in the corner of the frame. For example, the guy on the jury who's wearing a zip-up hoodie and t-shirt. The lawyers have to wear robes like it's the 1400s, and this guy couldn't find something with a button?
Okay, I want to speak to this.
Please.
So in the United States, in New York City, where I live, you got to go and serve jury duty. And it's a really it's a really aggravating and annoying process. I'm not wearing a suit to that, dude. No way. Is this Bobby Wagner of The Ringer?
Oh, it might be. I don't know. Good question. I don't know. I don't see. Wags. I don't see clout, Kev, or race.
Clearly, because here I am.
In America, we don't make every lawyer dress up like a barrister from the 1400s either.
Fair enough.
So you can like the lawyers wear a suit and the criminal wears a suit, but like they're not in the wigs and robes. You know what I mean? Like I'm sorry, I'm not taking anyone. Judge, all right, judge can wear a robe or whatever, but like I'm not taking how many people in this fucking courtroom need to wear a robe? Like
how often in My Cousin Vinny did he have his balls busted about his apparel to the point that we got that astounding outfit that he like served like a boss in?
The store has the flu.
Something like that happened in recent U.S. politics that really pissed me off and made me think of My Cousin Vinny. I was like, why are we nitpicking this poor man?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
same vibe.
Come on, vibes are the same.
I would wear the shit out of a bib though if they gave me like a 1400s bib. You know, like you're taking your senior photo in high school and it's like a suit.
I mean, I might feel different if I was the law, like if I was like as someone that would just be like, in the courtroom watching, right? Like, just what, you think you're better than me? You're wearing the fucking, everyone wears a robe here. You think you're better than me?
Oh boy.
That's a great way to walk into any situation.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, do you think you're better than me? Do you? Do you, Your Honor? Because you're not. You know what? You're fucking, look at you and you're fucking dinky.
This whole court's out of order.
You're tacky. You're tacky, Your Honor. And so is the jury. And so are the fucking defendants. And so are the lawyers. You're all tacky.
Very surprised that the French allowed a film to be made where only about half the lines are delivered in French.
Ooh.
And nobody even makes love throughout the whole thing.
and it was not
even Gerard
French
Depardieu
film apparently for the Academy.
They're like you could either get off and you could be free, but you have to make love to Gerard Depardieu, or you go to jail for the rest of your life and get executed.
Yeah, I'll take the death penalty.
I killed my husband.
Whoa there.
I want to call back to something Chief Justice Sick Rick said in chat a while back. Sick Rick writes, "Man, how much more French you got to be to get an international submission?" And Rick, you're totally right, my friend. The movie that did get the nomination, The Taste of Things, is a movie where 45 minutes of it is making soup and the rest is making love in one form or another. It is about as French as you can get in the way that like our current president in the U.S. thinks about French people. It's about soup and it's about sex, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
It's a great movie, and I love it.
By the way, the order of that thing, it does not sound good. The order of those things, like the soup part of it. I don't know. I just feel like you need some time in between the two.
But some would argue that cooking is a form of love.
Yeah, it's a form of intimacy.
You put all your love into it. That's how you know it's good.
It's
not literally.
Intimacy.
Please, not literally.
But no, I just imagine like the taste of things being like a really loud mwah, 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 like with your hand, like as you're like tasting the food or whatever. You're like, oh, yes, and then you're like, this is the same sounds during sex. Like well, this is pretty French. Is that
Let's move on with a bit. Come on.
Is this a guy playing the accordion in the background?
It's enough. It's enough, really. A steel band cover of 50 Cent's Pimp at that volume on loop. Sorry, but that motherfucker's getting tossed over. Justifiable homicide.
Steely Dan, PIMP.
Steely Dan.
Now we're talking.
I'm listening. It's not too late. I still don't know for sure if she did it or not, but I do know that her husband is a whiny little bitch, and I still hate that prosecutor.
You should be able to like. That should be an argument you can use in court.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Like, well, all right, if you just use it willy-nilly, like, you shouldn't be able to. But if it's really justified, right, and the guy's like a whiny little bitch, you should be able to be like, look, he was a whiny little bitch. You heard him.
Man is a whiny bitch with no riz.
Well, it's like Vinny. It's like Vinny. He's like, everything that man said is bullshit.
You know, be like
you're right. It is. Yeah.
Gen Z court. I sentence you to having no riz.
No! 10 years in the skibbity toilet.
Oh God.
And then the whole jury goes on God, and it's like, okay, we're done for the day.
That's what we're doing here. This movie made me despise French people. Ha 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 ha. Also, the sun was making me lose my mind with the dog. Can't be doing all that. I don't care how Helen with the Keller you are. Shush, girl.
Whoa.
What?
Helen with the Keller, my favorite rapper.
I'm not gonna lie, that's why it's here. I was like, Helen with the Keller. What am I looking at? Amazing.
The dog scene is freaky, to be fair. I wouldn't know from Helen with the Keller, but the dog scene is really scary first watch.
Chief Keef featuring Helen with the Keller.
Do the Helen Keller and talk with your hips.
I would assume
that's that 308 show song.
I would assume that do the Helen Keller and talk with your hips is something in French court.
Do the Helen Keller and talk with your hips. Oh God, that was a weird song, but anyway.
Were you aware that she was a bisexual? That bald bitch in the court is going out the window next.
Like, he doesn't, like, you feel like you have to, like, dress it up in some way. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it feels like you have to be like, were you aware that, you know, she was interested in men? Like, you have to lead up to it. And he's like, were you aware she was a bisexual? And it's like, oh.
We'd like to welcome all our French subscribers.
Like,
they're probably thinking, what is this?
Yeah, they came on board with City of Lost Children, and now we are saying goodbye.
They're just out. We got 300 unsubscribes this week. Okay.
It's like hearing like an American lawyer like swaggering in the court and be like, were you aware that he was into homosex? Like, doing all that.
Is that one of our politicians who were a lawyer that we were talking about, like the other after party, or not?
I mean, yeah, probably.
Oh God, what was it? I forget the character's name. Whatever.
Oh yeah, this we talked about.
Oh, Senator Earl Grey talking about Madame. Senator Earl Grey says,
I won every single court appearance by saying that he was into homosex. And then
I said there's no homosexuals allowed in the court of this land.
Imagine like a southern judge. Hey, no gay stuff in court now.
You know, Senator Earl Grey started off as a prosecutor. You know he did.
Of course.
Hey, let me see your hands now. That sounded too Walton Goggins. Let me see those hands now.
All right.
He's having a moment.
If I hear that PIMP remix one more time, the only thing leaving that house alive is the dog.
Have you ever?
Yeah.
Like you kind of space out listening to like something and you realize it's been on repeat for a while, or like you space out and like, you know, you're just like sleeping and you kind of like PIMP, I realized, has that kind of thing where it don't, like, after listening to it a certain number of times, you almost start to notice like different notes in that instrumental that like start to distract you, and it's like you somehow expand consciousness by listening to it that many times.
Welcome to mixing a record, by the way. Because that is exactly like you're like I think we invented this thing called music. But like, yes, absolutely. It's
but obviously when you're working with it, like that's one thing. But I'm saying like just listening to something and like you just listen to it like on repeat, this is by accident, spaced out so much that it's like you're like start noticing a different side to like music that you've heard a million times. Like, oh, like all right, like maybe we're back in this. Maybe
I can see the music.
Well, I mean that kid seems like he could.
Yeah,
but with his hands.
Exactly. With his hands, yeah.
Helen with the Keller.
Here it is, everybody. I would commit a crime just so that lawyer could get me off.
I would just be like,
well said.
I feel like you're.
Think about it, Forrest. Stop for a second.
Think about it.
I feel you're better off trying to get him to get you off outside of the courtrum. He just doesn't seem very confident.
Outside of the judicial process.
It seems like that guy is much more of the Lothario type than
like Don Lothario from The Sims.
Well, just in general, the Lothario type.
Lothario will do
more than maybe.
Hey, he needs a nickname.
More than the Clarence Darrow type. More than the Saul Goodman type.
There you go. Your Honor, you low key weren't there.
They did pull that though at one point. And that was one of his objections. He's like, you weren't there. You guys are just. He's even like, I can speculate. Watch this.
Yeah.
I speculate that she didn't do it, and then they're like, oh, all right. If we're all speculating here,
got us there. Yeah. Those are Letterboxd one-liners for Anatomy of a Fall. Please follow the show on our Movie Night Extravaganza HQ account at Movie Night Extra, where we're posting stories of all the great episodes that we do, attendant short-form content, great stuff for that on that lovely, lovely, lovely platform. You can also, Anatomy of a Flacco, follow your host over there. At Always Flacco, he is on Letterboxd.
I feel like I've been waiting to do that since watching this in 2023.
Yeah, you were really saving that in the back pocket.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's all coming back around.
I got one move y'all ain't seen yet. Anatomy of a Flacco, they call it.
I got some people call it Anatomy of a Flacco.
They call it Anatomy of a Homosex.
Logging all the stuff that we do on this show and many more things on the popular Letterboxd platform. Please follow him for that. I am at Conan Neutron, best canine actor in a serious motion picture in parens. I am doing the highbrow, the midbrow, the Populous Fair. Follow me along for the Criterion Challenge as I neglect it for a couple weeks coming up, but I'm on par. Don't worry about it. But follow me along for that. It's a great
best
time.
canine actor in a serious motion picture also mean there's best canine actor in musical or comedy.
I mean, they were thinking of nominating.
Well, the Golden Globes has that.
Yeah.
Well, remember Rin Tin Tin? They nominated Rin Tin Tin, I think, at the first or second Oscars.
Remember Rin Tin Tin? This is him now. He's making crap.
Well, he has great grandpups, I think.
I thought I was going to get Kev with that Golden Globes joke, but I guess I didn't, so that's fine. He's doing other stuff.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Stop her.
Anyway, it's fine. It's fine. They can't all be winners. Follow me along for all that stuff. Kristina, Anatomy and Biology is logging stuff on Letterboxd when she deigns to do so. Please, please, please follow her along for Kristina World on Letterboxd. And Kev, of course, our lovely feature guest before we get to the plugs, is got a great Letterboxd account that you should definitely follow. I think are you just Kev on there?
I'm just Kev. Kev.
I'm just Kev.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm Kev.
Exactly.
So follow Kev on Letterboxd. Forrest, let's hit it with Z plug. Let's hit it with Z plugs.
If you're watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe, and then hit the bell to get notified whenever we're streaming. And we'd humbly request that you watch the video to the end, because it helps us with the algorithm and helps more film fans to discover the show. We're also monetized. If you want to get your chat questions definitely read on stream, you can always send us a super chat, which will help us keep the show going. Every cent helps. If you're watching on Twitch, you can gift us a free sub on Amazon Prime with your Prime membership, but getting subs on Twitch is always appreciated, and it helps to follow us on there as well. We also have an audio feed, which is available wherever you download podcasts, if you prefer to listen to podcasts rather than watch the stream. That's updated usually the same day we stream, but watching on YouTube and Twitch is the best way to get the show first, live as it happens. If you want to support us with a monthly donation and get access to all of our after parties forever, which go patron only after we do them, you can become a patron at patreon.com/movie night extra. Link is in the description for that. It really helps us keep the show going since we do have some expenses to make this happen. We also have a Discord community. Link is in the description for that. We sometimes watch movies we cover on there. We get into conversations about everything from film to TV shows to related podcasts. We even have a Discord channel for memes. It's really fun on there. You can find us on all the social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, and Threads. You connect with us on all of those. Talk to us. We'd love to hear from you. Lastly, we recently made a TikTok at Movie Night Extra where we're putting up short form clips from the episodes. Okay, passing this to Conan so he can tell you about his music. and this week's Protonic Reversal. Conan, who's on Protonic this week?
Well, the Brian Giles of Red Fang episode of Protonic Reversal is up for patrons right now. Still hasn't gone to the general feed. That is the last Protonic Reversal before the tour break coming up. So patreon.com/Protonic Reversal, $1 a month for advance access for that. It'll be in the general feed. Trying something different. It's going to be on the general feed when I'm back from tour. So if you want to hear it, pay $1, you skinflints. Thank you.
Yes.
Never gonna get tired of that. Never gonna get tired of that.
Nope.
Wow.
Yeah, man. First show is like 30 hours from now for spring in Chicago. We got Madison, Kenosha, Milwaukee, and then we go to this country checks notes. Oh yeah, Japan for 2 weeks, which I am very excited about.
I've never heard of that one. They're letting anyone be a country now.
I wish it was real. I wish it was real. I checked all the Kurosawa locations. Are nowhere we're going to be, unfortunately. But I was ready. I want to go to the Seven Samurai Village. But yeah, can't wait. I will take lots of pictures. I'm very excited for that. We're playing.
Go to cat cafes. There are probably tons nearby.
There's an otter cafe too. There's cats. There's otters. They got all the animals.
God, America sucks.
We used to be a proper country with animal cafes. Yeah, and of course, streaming in full on Bandcamp now. Way neutronfriends.bandcamp.com to pick up a copy of that digitally. Pre-order an LP or CD. It will be streaming on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, all that other malarkey next week. So right now we get the first 3 singles. We have Who Dares, Sharks Keep Moving, and Villainous Circumstance that are streaming right now. So you can check those out for free, or you can go to Bandcamp, stream the whole thing, and then it'll be out on the internet like every other piece of quote-unquote content that one loves to have their art reduced to content, don't they?
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it was a villainous circumstance that...
That's good. We can do a courtroom theme video for it. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
But like they say in court, the sharks keep swimming.
Exactly. They keep moving as well.
Keep moving. Yeah.
We're gonna do a second take on that. It's gonna be great. This is the U.S. tour we're doing in May and June. East Coast to West Coast. Yeah, we're playing near you, Kev. We're playing New York.
Right.
So if you want to come to an earlier show,
I will do everything in my power. Hey, the concrete jungle where dreams are made of.
That's
and
right.
Probably, while I have focus here, I love these tour posters, dude. These are sick.
That's all Chris Williams, who does the incredible art for all our episodes as well. We speak his name, especially right now. Yeah, he's an incredible talent. We love
Best artist who has ever done art for this show.
Fantastic. Yeah. Anyway, if you don't feel like reading, it's on all the things you can find it. So socializing that out, that we have a pre and post Caterwall tour. We're doing a bunch of Elephant Rifle in the Mountain West. We're playing with Lung. We're playing with Cosmic Kitten, who are great. That's all coming up. That was announced last week. So much stuff has been announced this last week. The Tom Osmond show. Oh God, what is it called? Christ. I was on it. It was great. Go see it. I posted on social media. I can't remember what it's called right now. It's terrible. It is Whatever Comes Next. Come up. And then the Counterforce with Og Stone. I was a guest on that as well. That was awesome. And there is probably something else that I'm not thinking of. But yeah, can you tell I'm doing our press junket? Anyway, if you want to hear me be on a million podcasts talking about my music, that's basically what I'm doing right now. And every once in a while,
ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the defendant could not have been there. He was doing a press junket. We all know. We all know what that means.
I do. I definitely do. But hey, you know what? They're all really cool.
Alibi doing a press junket. He's literally on shows. You can literally see him talk about it.
It was a promotional interview.
It was a promotional interview. Exactly.
It was a promotional interview.
Oh, and I should mention also that the Milwaukee show for Secret Friends right before we leave for Japan is called Wild Antics. It's an all-day affair with a bunch of awesome bands. So if anybody, I know we have people. I think some of our folks coming out to the Kenosha show as well, which is also gonna be good. Those are all the Mr. Flies.
A whole lot of witnesses.
Phy. Oh my God, I can spell it, but I can't announce it. It's spelled crazy, but I'm not even kidding. It's like 3 Z's.
It's 12 Angry Men, but they're like, he couldn't even spell the band that he was.
Your Honor, he couldn't even spell the name of the support band. PHYLZZZ. There you go. Not a jury in the world would convict me. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm so Movie Night Extravaganza. You guys are doing some episodes without me, and I'm in full support of that. Should be great. And then when we come back, we're doing.
Doesn't sound like it with that. No,
we're gonna be.
I'm in full. I gave my. I'm full support of that.
Well, I'm in full support of the fact that when I come back, completely jet lagged and time traveling, because I'm gonna arrive before I left, which is crazy. We're gonna do Little Shop. Which I'm very excited about.
I'm that's happening the week after. I'm like in Montreal, so I'm gonna be driving down from Canada, being like, hey,
little shop,
a whole different kind of French.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's French Canadian. By the way, never tell a crowd of rock and roll fans that are French that are in Quebec that they're Canadian. Whoops! I made that mistake one time and one time only. People got so mad at me. Everybody was like, "Listen, I like this show. It's very good. I will buy the record, but I must tell you, we are not Canadian."
Why do you sound like T'Challa from Black Panther?
Mr. Neutron, I am not Canadian.
If Forrest hadn't said that, I would say before unloading something mad racist. I was like, what? How are you like a black French Canadian and you're racist? Like, what is, I don't even understand how this works. Anyway, whatever. I'll save it for my podcast.
Some slurs I do not say, huh? Okay, then don't. I will say them right now. No, you don't have to.
No, you really don't need to. It's okay. But anyway, yeah. So if you know folks in Japan, I guess let them know we're coming. And if you know a place that we should go,
someone's right. Someone's on their phone going down the contact list. Conan's coming to Japan.
Neutron coming. Yeah, exactly. Maybe, I don't know. Weirder things have happened. People, the guy we're staying with in Chicago, is in a bunch of documentaries about punk rock in Asia. He knows like 1 million people in
oh, there you go. Get them connects.
Yeah, so there you go. Anyway, that's probably the longest plugs I've ever done for this show. Kristina, what do you have?
Well, still doing my partner push on Twitch. I was on Afternoon 2 to discuss yeah, you were listening to some Salt and Pepper earlier. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things.
Our Conan Neutron Tour alert notification system.
Right. Oh, wow. It's me and Godzilla.
Oh my god,
Godzilla! Everybody, thank you.
Secret friends alert. Secret friends alert.
I went over Carly Farge's Revenge, her directorial debut on Afternoon 2.
Oh yeah.
Very fun, loved it because I love that movie. Actually, that made made me interested in checking out that movie.
That's what both of you guys have now said, so I need to check that out.
It's good. Streaming politics and pop culture as always. Talking about the Snow White controversy lately because Variety has been coming out with a bunch of hit pieces and on Rachel Zegler and puff pieces on Gal Gadot, and it's driving me nuts. But it looks like Rachel Zegler has the support of the world.
Fentanyl is polluting the Snow White supply. I don't know.
Christina, isn't it crazy that big New York Times piece didn't say a word about Gal Gadot's politics, but had so much to say about Rachel Zegler's Instagram post?
Gal Gadot doesn't have
that works.
Yeah. Gal Gadot doesn't have politics.
Ben Platt's Dear Evan Hansen's dad flew all the way to New York to tell Rachel Zegler to delete her Free Palestine tweet, and she said, "Fuck no."
Good on her.
23 years old, and she has more balls than a sign than 99% of people in Hollywood.
I'm just glad
she has more balls than the stairway and in the house of the we discovered.
Oh my god!
Too soon. Sorry.
Yeah. But and we finally are done with the Adam and Eve storyline, the Frankenstein monster storyline, Dark Shadows. We're now getting werewolves. We're now getting Quentin Collins. We're now getting Violet Beauregard before she was in Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory.
Wow. Kev, Kristina has been she's been streaming watch-alongs for the entire Dark Shadows, of which there's like 40
What,
years
you a
of
fan?
shows or something.
Are you?
That's amazing. I know about it because of the movie.
The movie's
I do
not that
love
great.
the movie. The movie is not great,
No,
but
the
I
show
know
is
about the show, and that's incredible. That's commitment to content.
Yeah,
he's committing to the bit, my friend.
yeah, and Victoria.
I know all about that.
They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime.
Yeah, there are
werewolves are. Yeah.
Victoria's now gone because the main actress who played her, got pregnant and got married. So now she's replaced because they do this on soap operas where they recast characters, but she's gonna get killed off anyway because there's just no point of having her anymore.
That's my joke when somebody cancels at the last minute. The part of so and so is going to be played by Godzilla.
Yeah,
I'll pull the Godzilla figurine out.
But she's never here for that. Yeah. Usually you do that with her. I'm saying most of the time.
Actually, that's true. I have done it with Kristina. I have done it with you a lot.
Mostly with Kristina.
And it's usually Godzilla just because that's the closest thing within reach.
Oh yeah,
she's a bad bitch. Godzilla's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, it's getting
getting
good. Quentin Collins, played by David Selby. You might recognize him. He's like a character actor, pretty blue eyes. He's Quentin Collins. He's the werewolf. He's possessing the kids now. They're doing his bidding. It's a whole weird shit going on right now.
He was on Falcon Crest.
Yeah, he was also in Legion.
He was in Legion?
Yeah. He said he's the guy that wears a human face or whatever the hell. Like he got David kind of killed him at one point or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just getting weird. Maggie's now going to be the governor. He's gone.
I'd say you're taking shit's getting weird, man. It's a weird show.
What else is going on?
It's almost like they had a lot of content they had to put out in a short period of time at the time, and
we have episodes we're doing over the next couple weeks. We can announce that.
Yeah, where are we going on? We're going on Bombshell.
We're doing Bombshell with Julia, which we gotta.
Who was recently on a React video? Julia Linger.
Yeah, I didn't see that it was React at first, and then I was like, who is she pointing out to? And then I was like, oh, it's Julia. But
first person I recognized, I was like, oh, there's Julia.
They were analyzing roasts.
And then
celebrity.
And then we're that Thursday we're coming back. We're having Ron Placone on. That should be fun. Talking about
that movie.
His movie that he made. And
a
then
guy who really desperately wanted to be on this podcast, which I'm like, wow, that's a first.
It's not a.
It's
rare. It's not a first.
You're saying people don't want to be on this podcast?
No, I'm saying wow, can't believe it. People are like, yes. Hey, when can I come on? Can I come on? Can I come on? I'm like, yeah.
I've never heard it. Can I come on?
Yeah. Most people are neutral about coming on.
Yeah.
Conan Neutral.
That's good.
And then we're doing the Matrix, right?
We're doing the Matrix after that. By the way, new
is that an art film? What is that?
I don't know.
I thought of a bit that I'm really mad that I haven't workshopped throughout this whole month because I just thought of it while plugs were going on. But it's just it's just Conan on the stand, and you're being questioned about your secret friends. So he's like, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we've heard a lot about Conan Neutron, the secret friends, but who are these secret friends?
Amen.
In fact, none of them could be located to testify. None of them are on the witness list. We keep hearing about these secret friends. Well, where are they? Let's hear them testify.
It's good. Well, you got it in before the bell, so that works out fine.
Yeah.
Ding, ding.
Saved by the bell.
Exactly. What else you got? Sorry, Kristina. What else? What?
Nothing much, but I'm willing to go on. Probably might do more debates in the future. Hopefully, I win the special gift card.
Hopefully, I win.
Oh. Unkind Rewind, my Pump Up the Volume episode is out.
Word, I got to get back to them about doing something
great
with
movie.
them.
Pump up the jam, pump it up.
Honestly, held up really well. I was actually surprised in a good way.
I got to get back to them about doing something with them too.
Yeah, I think they want to have both you guys on. Sorry, Kev. So cool. I don't think they know who you are.
Almost no one does. It's great.
No, that's not true.
Your presence online is like cat. Like you keep it to that. Like
your Letterboxd username is Kev. People know who the fuck you are, dude. Don't this false modesty.
You're just
I feel like it's one of those cultivated online things where it's like look, you either you know or you don't know. It's Kev.
Exactly.
You buy in or you don't buy it.
When it comes to
Austin
Austin
Danger.
Danger podcast, she's everything. He's just Kev, you know.
That is pretty much true. In behind
That's
the
how
scenes
we have to
terms-
introduce them if we have Mackenzie and Kev on at the same time. That's how
We
we
will
have
do
to
that
do
one.
They got
Please
none of
remember
that.
We will do that one.
Totally do that. That'd be amazing.
And that's
Great
what it's
show.
like behind the scenes as well.
Speaking of which, Kev, plugs.
Yeah, by the way, I had a blast. I was more than happy to come on, and I love this. I had such a great time. So thank you for that. So
Yeah.
people can go back and listen to this on all their different platforms to get you guys the views, because it was so much fun. Letterboxd.com/Kev. There are other things going on. Stay tuned on that. I have nothing else to announce there. Also, Austin Danger Podcast, now and forever, the only randomly curated Austin Powers podcast on the internet. Mackenzie,
love
two-time
Austin
guest.
Powers.
That's right.
Thanks. We do too.
It's one of the
And,
first movies I remember seeing. I was 3 years old when it first came out on VHS in '97.
Yes, it was the first DVD I ever bought a couple years later.
Yeah,
Same
it's
vibe.
one of the first movies I remember watching: Titanic, The Wizard of Oz, and Austin Powers. All
It's a
in
part
like
of our
'97.
fabric.
Groovy, baby. Groovy.
Yeah.
So Kenzo and I, what we've done is we took the credits of everyone from Mike Myers to the guy who drove Mike Myers to set and in between, and we put them all on a big wheel and we spin it around and we pick movies at random. So this week, the podcast is going up the same week, right? It's going up this week, the 25th.
Yep.
Right. So this week is Anaconda, and which was quite a time. And then next week I will spoil the end of the episode. Next week we're doing Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade with Danny Haas.
Get
from
out!
70mm
Oh,
podcast.
that's awesome.
So it's gonna be great. So because Spielberg appeared in Goldmember, we're doing all Spielberg movies except I think Schindler's List is where we're gonna draw that line. Schindler's List maybe out of our
You
zone.
know, Ray Fiennes already won an Oscar for Schindler's List, according to people at the Academy.
Right, exactly. But like all the ones that would make sense for a comedy podcast about movies to do. And we also do new movies. So this year we're doing the new Wes Anderson, The Phoenician Scheme. We're doing the new James Gunn Superman. We're doing One Battle After Another, the new PTA, Wicked for Good. And we'll be opening 26, if you could believe it, with Avatar, Fire and Ash. So all that and more on Austin Danger Podcast
Can't
every
wait for
Monday.
Wicked for Good come out.
Avatar,
really-
Fire and Ash versus Evil Dead.
Jackie Brown episode was great. Really enjoyed
Thanks.
that one. That's an underrated Tarantino, I feel. And
That's like Tarantino's best, I feel like. And like no one will ever. Everyone's like, oh, Pulp Fiction.
Oh, I did locate the Kill Bill, the Crazy Eights fight. We might go there. That's like pretty close to where we're staying one night. So.
Nice.
So that would be, if I can just get a picture there, I'll feel pretty good about things. You did Walk Hard, which we're gonna do on this show for my tour kickoff in May. But I was very excited to hear that because again, I feel like the musical biopic has no justification to exist after Walk Hard.
Yeah,
We should make more biopics that are less musical. Agreed, Conan.
It's not that you can't do something cool with it; it's just that people aren't.
It's the devil's bargain. They're like,
Right,
oh, we're gonna make way more biopics, but less musical ones. And it's like
Literally, the only the most recent good one was Oppenheimer because it took place in a specific time. Like if they just focus on a specific time period, that's fine.
So I'm not as mad at biopics as say Eileen Jones is. I'm mad at them, but the musical biopics especially, I'm very mad at. And that has to end. It's enough.
biopic stole my wife. Now,
and I just don't understand how you can make a musical biopic in a post-Walk Hard.
I just feel like not everyone needs one, and it feels like
Most people don't need them.
That's true. I mean, I'll say that Complete Unknown, James Mangold is a great detail guy, right?
Yeah.
So while it was kind of boilerplate, Bob Dylan, whatever, the details of that in the scenes, the looks the characters gave each other, the real music played on set, I feel like that was
too bad they didn't
compared to
too
the
bad
Bob
they
Marley or
completely-
Amy Winehouse disaster.
Too bad they completely
oh
cut
God,
out.
don't get me started on the Amy Winehouse.
The Complete Unknown cut out the actual details of what was happening within the conflict
Well, yeah.
they were talking about. So it's like, well, I'm like their clothes look great. They did, but it's like, but I wish you guys were talking about the details of the thing that you guys are making the movie about.
What about my favorite movie, Mortal Kombat Annihilation?
Was never in that movie. I don't like.
Where's the love?
All right,
Was that
I've
on the
never
wheel?
seen
Is Mortal Kombat Annihilation? No, this is
I'm
the
sure it
second one.
is.
This the second one. It's not as good as the first one.
So
which
I
isn't
haven't
saying
seen
much.
either of the original movies.
They're not great.
Mortal Kombat 1 I know is on the wheel. Annihilation probably is too. We just haven't gotten there yet. I know Omega. I know what's up. I will say I loved the new Mortal Kombat. The Warner Brothers
I did
one.
too. Everyone hated it. I was like, am I an idiot? Maybe I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good.
I mean, peak lockdown stoner era Kev. But I had a lot of fun with that.
Dude. Like it was. I watched it on a motherfucking plane, which is the perfect way to watch that movie. I was like, I'm great. This is a great movie to watch on a plane.
I remember seeing the older Mortal Kombat movies. I remember just seeing like the VHS covers and being like, yeah, there's no way this is like.
You want to see Christopher Lambert as Raiden? No, okay.
It's just
Diane Lane's baby daddy.
You take one look at like the ninja as costumes they dressed up in, it's like there's no way.
Like Christopher Lambert, great French actor, but he's also Diane Lane's baby daddy.
Yeah, he's also the Highlander, so respect.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, the Highlander, everybody. Thank you.
There'll only be one.
Brought to you by the Highlander.
I wish there was only one. Those sequels are atrocious.
Wait, what? There's I don't.
Hey, I don't know.
They
Never
don't
heard
know.
of her.
They don't exist. What are you talking about?
what are you
Don't
talking
lie.
about? Why would you make a sequel to Highlander? Jesus, come on.
Highlander 2, Hirelander.
We're gonna workshop this material, by the way. So, anyway.
Final thoughts?
But Kev, just Kev. Final thoughts on Anatomy of a Fall.
My favorite movie of 23 when it came out only got better the other 2 times in theater, and now that I have the Criterion Blu-ray, it'll just get better and better with age. I think I love this film. I think it's just absolutely fantastic, as good as it gets, but better than as good as it gets.
Word.
You saw it at the Museum of the Moving Image, right?
Yes,
The
I
first
did.
time?
It was my
Yeah, I
favorite.
don't know why I remember that.
If folks come to New York, this is a thing I forgot to plug. If folks come to New York, you got to come to Astoria, Queens, and check out the Museum of the Moving Image.
Yeah,
Very easy to
co-sign.
get to from Midtown Manhattan. Nice half-day museum. It has the Jim Henson exhibit with tons of screen-used puppets and props and all sorts of stuff. It's wonderful. And then the theater there, the Redstone Theater, is my favorite place in the world to watch movies.
You saw John Dielman there with Matthew, right?
John Dielman.
I don't think so.
John
Oh, you
Dielman.
did? Oh,
Yeah,
Jesus.
Forrest did.
I watched Jean Dielman and then got Matthew Film guy mad that I left to go pee in the middle of the movie, and it was like, it's 3 hours.
You didn't miss anything. Don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna poo during any movie, it's
But I
John
did.
Dielman.
I really I enjoyed it.
What's you peel a potato?
I mean, there's something about the vibes.
I think it's the first time I had gone there since being in school and going there for like field trips.
Word. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, that's the thing. Like all the long movies from that year, like we saw Killers of the Flower Moon with Thelma Schoonmaker, which was special, and Oppenheimer, and I just saw Gangs of New York with Martin Scorsese in person. The long movies, for some reason, the vibe there is so good that I don't ever feel a movie is too long. I could be there. We saw the Star Wars trilogy there. I could be there all day.
Oh man, Vertigo's playing this weekend. Jeez.
I'm going.
Awesome. That rules.
Yeah.
It's one of my
What were we talking about when we went to Philly and and Kev was there? We watched Psycho. They were playing Vertigo.
That's right. That's right.
It seems like they have Vertigo playing in a bunch of places in New York City, like a lot.
We have a strong rep scene. Yeah.
I mean, I always go down when I'm trying to see certain things, or like when there's like stuff going on. I want to go to more Q&As though. I really don't do that enough.
I keep hoping. I
I
keep hoping that's one of 2 theaters. So I want to have a tour work out that I can see something cool.
Hey, there's a comment you also highlight from a Mega Dragon.
What's that?
We need to fund Christina's New York trip and give her a tour.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Yeah,
and end it with her dreams sitting in the studio majority report with Sam Cedar feet away from her.
Yeah.
So the two I want to see some Museum of Moving Image, and I previously wanted to see something in New Beverly, but I did that with friend of the show Jared Skolnick earlier this year and saw Casino at the New Bev, and it was awesome.
That's awesome.
That's killer.
I want to go to Museum of the Moving Image and walk around, which I like. Literally, I think I was a sophomore or junior, and we went and we toured the whole, because it's a great field trip. Like if you're in high school or whatever, college, it's like an awesome place to just walk around. But I want to do that because I remember they had so much cool shit in there. And when I went to go see Jean Dielman, it was Easter, so everything was closed in there except for the and everyone was like weirdly quiet. Like they thought that if they made noise like at all, like Jean Dillman would turn and look at them and be like, "Hey," and they could go back to peeling potatoes or whatever. Like, right. I mean, I thought it was definitely cool watching that movie there, but it felt very art house in a way that like I don't know if other showings there probably do.
I love that Matthew got mad at you for peeing though. That's great.
Yeah.
First of all, that's a very Matthew film guy. But anyway,
yeah.
He's like, hey,
peace and love. When's he coming back on? When I'm not busting his balls.
I think he does like his editing stuff. So it's like we always catch him when he's off from like doing that. You know, he's living film guy.
I love Matthew. Matthew's awesome.
He comes on
the show anytime.
He comes on and he does film guy, and then he's living.
He did Nosferatu when we did Vampire Month, right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying he comes on and he does film guy, and then he goes back and he's living film guy. Like I've seen like the picture. No, I'm saying like I've seen like the picture of like his editing setup and stuff, and it seems like he's keyed in a lot of the time doing that.
Did you ever see Black Bear with Aubrey Plaza?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's so
very
good.
It's very good. But Matthew edited that. He's edited other stuff too, but that's my favorite.
Does that mean he actually knows Aubrey? Because we can get her on the podcast. That'd be so fun. Dope.
Yeah, we've hinted it, and he's like, shut it down real fast.
Yeah, as well he should. But I mean, hey, you start working on it now.
That was his first feature.
I got Billy Gould of Faith No More on here. I got fucking Kara Rosso or Black Flag on here. I mean,
right, your guests are crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Step it up,
Adam
film guy.
McKay.
Where's Aubrey? Adam McKay. Forgot all about that. Oh yeah,
we gotta have Adam McKay back on again. But we like
Alex Cox.
All right, so but the Valley Film guy, I think I was saying, Black Bear was the first movie that he edited, and he was like, I remember one of the first times he came on, anyway, he was talking about how when he was like editing it or whatever, COVID had just like happened, so we got to go to like 1 or 2 events, and like really because everyone was like playing it up around the circuit, and he only got to go to like a couple of the big events, and then lockdown happened, and he was like pushed out again from like
So Kev, here's what I'll say about Black Bear: Aubrey Plaza gives a Gino Rowlands level performance, and I don't say that lightly. She's freaking amazing in this.
April Ludgate, who?
You missed this one. I feel for Women's Month. Every woman should get the opportunity to kill their husband.
Yo, afternoon tune with the buzzer beater comment. That's killer. Unintended.
Respect. That's right. We again, we're the only podcast that on International Women's Month we've had 12 angry men.
Well, now they have a podcast together, so
yep,
this could have been a podcast.
That's great,
but this could have been a phone call. This could have been a podcast. It should not be. But it could have been. Kristina, do you have some final thoughts?
Yes. So I think this movie is actually very much underrated and deserved a lot more than what it was given.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's clear that it pays tribute to not only Anatomy of a Murder, but so many other court-related films that we've actually discussed on, this show, and also real life cases that have happened. I think, Sandra's going places. I honestly think maybe she might be a future Oscar winner. And I recommend this movie if you're someone who's into like court films or just foreign films in general. So definitely try to go see this movie. It's probably somewhere streaming.
It's on Hulu.
Hulu, yes.
Which I got finally, and I've been
watch Cuckoo.
By the way, did we do 12 Angry Fremen? I feel like maybe we did.
Oh no, that's good though. That's no Little Fremen because that was off the dome.
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
I just in my head I was like, 12 Angry Fremen.
Because we were doing Little Women like shortly after we did Dune Part 2, Kev, and like Becky was on. I was like, Little Men, Little Women, Little Fremen, and like I wasn't even trying to be clever. It just was like, and like I was like, wow, Little Fremen, that's good. That's that crossover. Thank you.
Yeah.
That. Want to hear more clever things I said by accident? Cool.
You have to do debrief episodes where you're like, here's some clever stuff I said. Here's some more clever stuff.
Here's when I said something else.
I was talking to my wife, and no one else was there, and I said, and look, there's a lot of context behind this. So
did you hear what I said?
Yeah. Hey, Christy, you hear what I said?
By the way, Sandra Hüller, 46. and I did not know who she was before 2023, and she's a badass. So
I thought she was
she's about to make
younger.
her
Goddamn.
big debut in a studio movie next year. She's
can't wait
doing
for
she's doing Project Hail Mary with Lord and Miller. Very exciting.
I'm ready. Whatever she does, I'm here for it, and I will be here. I'll be there for it in the theater. Is what I'm trying to say.
I'll be there for you.
Hüller. Yeah, her. It was a crazy year with her doing this and then doing Zone of Interest.
Yeah.
This movie, Zone of Pinterest, and then Zone of Interest.
Zone of Pinterest.
Oh my god.
but
God, you're really gonna you're gonna have to follow Zone of Pinterest. That's what I'm following.
Yeah.
Huh? Okay. All right. Okay. That's fine. I can do it.
Conan,
I don't know.
Do you have lay final thoughts?
Lay final thoughts. Yeah. Yeah. Look, I got even more out of this on the second watch. It's easily the best courtroom drama entry of the past 15 years or so, for my taste, and that's come from someone that liked Juror Number 2 too. I think Anatomy of Fall manages to pay respect to its influences and predecessors while being its own thing distinctly. Really notable here is the usage of the 3 languages and deployed with narrative purpose and using aspects of culture, clash intent, and even low-grade prejudice in telling this winding and mysterious story. And this won an Oscar for Best Screenplay. I feel like it's very earned. So much of it hinges on the writing, and the performances really sells it. It's a smart, unconventional drama that shows many aspects of judicial process with a window into the French judicial system that I certainly had never seen before. And it is also a lot more than that as well. Great film. Like I said, got a lot more out the second time around, and an honor to discuss it tonight with all y'all.
Like, there's just something about the and I was watching outtake. They have the outtakes on YouTube, but the argument scene, there's a bunch of outtakes of different stuff that they would have said. This is what I would have said if I could have. But no, there's there's the first one that I saw is like she does the lines is like the same, but she just bursts out laughing at the end of it, and it's like, damn, dude, like it's like that release of tension. But that scene, the performance between them when they're just doing this argument, and you haven't seen really Samuel, very much throughout this whole movie, right? Like you
get a little French marriage story.
Yeah, really
hanging out.
Story. But like that whole thing between the amount of power in that back and forth and like that, when they're screaming at each other, it just feels so real, and it feels so lived in that within that little cycle thing, which I guess makes a lot of sense if you done 10 takes of it and said different things, and you're like, this is the best take this is. But it's like that the performance, especially her performance, is so fucking powerful in that. And then you even forget what you're watching. Really, you're like, oh shit, they're going at it, and then it zooms out, and everyone's just listening in court. And you're like, oh fuck, they're listening in court. Who knows what the fuck? It's up to the lawyers to be the seeing eye dogs of the community, and they have a vested interest in being like, well, clearly they're punching each other.
I might have to pick up a physical of this myself, actually. Now that I think about it, because I think this has definitely got a lot of repeated watchability as far as I'm concerned. So
I just impulse buy a new second screen, but it's one of the ones that can do 4K. So now I can actually see what I'm watching a little better.
Now you don't have to watch 2001 on a cracked iPhone on the bus.
Yeah.
Like Rihanna did.
Well, I was gonna say that was by choice,
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, look, I was in jail,
as the director intended.
Yes.
I was in jail, and I snuck in that iPhone.
Well, it's like that Vision Pro, the goggles. Like someone told the cast of Oppenheimer, because they were reading tweets that they watched Oppenheimer on Vision Pro, and Killing Mirror's like, what's Vision Pro? They're like, it's the new Google goggle thing. He's
that's
like,
my reaction too. Okay.
By the way, I love that Jeremy Corbyn, our
good friend.
A friend of the show, Jeremy Corbyn. Yeah. What about him?
Friend of the show.
What's he up to?
He just got a Letterboxd account
I saw that. Yeah.
One of he has 4 movies on there. A lot of them are Mike Lee movies and
Mike Lee rocks.
Yeah, but I'm saying you definitely expect Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah,
but one of them is
Jeremy Corbyn likes a Mike Lee movie.
Bit of a virtue signal. I get the poor.
I get the poor. No, 2001: A Space Odyssey opens up questions about human existence and the dangerous power of uncontrolled computers. Spoiler alert, humans beat the computer. Totally AI. Oh, today AI would win. It has the most incredible music. But it's like such an interesting window into the guy's thought process to have his like it's like spoiler, humans beat the computer. Today AI would win, and it's like, well, I don't think that. To be honest, I think the AI kind of, but yeah.
What
at some
so
point.
so what do you think Keir Starmer's Letterboxd account would have?
The Iron Lady.
Yeah, it'd have to be the most like boring milquetoast like Netflix gruel.
Oh, I know what he's watching all the
Ever.
Hugh Grant movies. He's watching all the Hugh Grant movies that aren't the marquee ones. So he's watching all of Hugh Grant's like
the second tier Hugh Grant rom-coms.
And they all get a 5-star, and he says smashing or something like that.
That would make a good film series. Watching all the Hugh Grant like rom-com, like all the ones he's like in the last few years he stopped doing those, obviously because he's gotten older. Like he's Oompa Loompa. And
He's doing like Heretic and stuff now, which rules.
Yeah.
By the way, smashing as the review, you got me. I was like, because it's by the way, if you ever has anyone heard Keir Starmer speak besides me?
Yeah.
Are you sure? You didn't fall asleep?
I mean, I did, but
yeah.
Yeah, guy is not a scintillating.
So he watches Love Actually. 5 stars. His review is Love Always Triumphs with an exclamation point. That's what I think you do.
All right. Well, we do have fun here.
Or something like Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant is a national treasure with an exclamation point. Like stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh man, you're making me. You're making me. I can't do it. I don't have the time. But somebody that is a fan of the show, a Movie Night Extras, should make a Keir Starmer Letterboxd account that just is all the things Forrest just described.
Yep.
And I guarantee you, it would be huge. It would be huge. And very healing, potentially.
The funniest one would be if he watched something like, I mean, not 2001 Space Odyssey, but a movie that like really makes you think or something like that, right? Like a movie that's like kind of deep that has a lot of movie parts, and his review is just fascinating with an exclamation point. or thought-provoking.
Are we the after party? What's going on here?
It certainly seems like it. They just like
I think we're in
moved
after
right
party
into it,
territory.
didn't we?
Yeah. Well, are we doing that? We can do an after party if you guys want. We can keep the
0.0% chance that I can do that. But
all right. Well, we'll see you when you get
peace
back.
and love in my heart. But
we'll see you when you get back from tour. Then you're going to be going to the Orient as
oh boy,
as your racist uncle might say.
Careful, Gerard Depardieu's gonna clip that and get your ass on Twitter.
Just say, as the British would say.
Yeah, exactly.
Just don't get murdered on the Orient Express. I guess that's my one piece of advice.